All right, we should be good. Let's see if I can get this streaming to work today. Let me get off of there. Let's see if we are live, my friends. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da. All right, let's see if we're live. All right, let's go YouTube. Hey, look at that. YouTube's working. All right, who else we got? Twitch. Everybody else should be good, but you know what? I'm still learning the ropes. Go to my channel. Interesting. All right, Twitch says I'm offline. I forgot to actually turn on the individual ones. No. I can hear myself talking. There we go. Twitch is good. Let's go check out Kick. Bello Bear channel. Yep. And of course, our friend TikTok. Oh, I'm so happy TikTok is working. Good gravy. I'm so happy TikTok is working. Good gravy. All right, so let's get into it, my friends. Yeah, I'm going to start this bad boy at the beginning. Got a little music for us. Turn that down a notch. All right. Hope I don't get echo from the music. That would suck. I guess I could, oh, that's what I was going to do. Put in my headphones. Holy cow, that's loud. I don't know about the music thing. I got the audio out. All right. You guys are just going to have to let me know if the audio sounds okay with the music. All right. I am very stoked I got all this working. This whole streaming thing's been a pain in the butt. I forgot to turn on my chat, though. All right. Disable, enable. What? All right, I think we're all working. All right. Let me get over to my streaming setup. There we go. Now we can actually see what's going on. We got to work on a new episode of Bello Bear today, my friends. I gotta post a new episode today. It's Friday, so this is gonna be a full episode. One of the story-driven ones, not the non sequitur bits, which are much faster to do. And so let's see episodes. What are we on? 28. We are on 28. That one is old. Let's move that out of the way. So what I always like doing is just copying my last one as my starting point. Much easier than starting from scratch. We're going to clean out a lot of the stuff that's in here from the last episode. 0.1, did I think I moved all that stuff over. All right, that'll be interesting to find out how that goes. I'm going to rename this. We are going to rename this one. I'm going to rename this one, and I think just about everything else gets thrown away because we're going to make it new for this episode. God, there's a lot of crap I got to do to make these things. All right. Who's ready to start making a comic strip? So today's episode's called Chicken Gum, and we're doing a little bit of why did the chicken cross the road kind of jokes in between our story today. And it looks like, it's been a while since I looked at this one. I don't remember exactly what's going on, so let's find out. Okay, Bello Bear, episode 28, Chicken Gum. Bear with me. Let me check one thing real quick. Okay, yeah, I still need that. Get rid of that. That is the old one. Okay, I think we're good to go. Ooh, I hear a puppy. Hi, puppy. What you doing? Come on up, buddy. Come on up. She's got her own little ramp up to my desk so she can come hang out. Right, bud? Do you want to say hi? Okay, come on over. Move my stuff out the way. Get over here. Sit. Look right there. It's okay. Look right there. See? You are a cutie pie. And a pain in the butt because you got to lay right in the middle of my desk so I don't have room for anything. That's all right, though. You're a cutie pie. Oh, look at this little face. Look at this little face. All right, should we say hi? Yeah, let me go to my chatting setup. Ah, look at that. Now you can see. Whoa, what did I do? I put my computer to standby mode. All right, come here. Get over here. I got you. All right, sit down. Let's say hello. Oh, thanks for the kisses. See, look, everybody's right there. This is Harley. Harley's a bit of a stinker. She likes to come. I got like stairs over here, so she can just come right up the stairs and she'll sit on my desk. She's got a blanket on the side, but she's always got to get right in front of me, and she'll just lay in front of the keyboard where the mouse is, and so I can't move the mouse anymore. She is a little bit of a brat, but adorable, right? All right, come here. Come over here, bud. Let Daddy do some work. Come on, over here. Thank you. Thank you very much. I know, but I gotta work. Otherwise, you get in the way. Nope, she's not having it. All right, we're just gonna try to keep working with her in the way. So today, let me turn down the music. It's probably pretty low for you guys, but in my ear, it's pretty effing loud. I thought I could make this work with the headphones, but go ahead and just. All right, we're just gonna stop it. Too much noise. I gotta focus. All right. We're gonna take out the headphone too because I was getting some feedback with that. And hearing my echo which does not sound nice. You know what? Let me double check one thing here, because I am going to need the audio, and I need you guys to be able to hear what I'm doing. So let me turn up my desktop audio. What is that? Oh, YouTube live chat. Let's hide you there. Let me do a tester for myself here to make sure the chat is working. Yep, that looks like it. Okay, seems to be working. If you're watching and checking in, come say hi. I want to make sure that the chat is working. Let me see. Sorry, bear with me. My first stream getting TikTok working today. I had to Jimmy rig that sucker to get it to work before with my phone and a bunch of other stuff. I finally got to work on my laptop, so I'm very, very stoked about that. Oh, that is my back of my throat funky. Let's see. Bear with me. I want to try. You know what? I can pop this up probably on here. Check on my iPad. Make sure I can see chat going. Because that would suck if I can't. It's kind of half the point of doing this is I want to be able to chat with you guys. No, I'm not seeing the live. Hog. No. Live journey. Sorry, bear with me, guys. We'll get rolling here in a second. Why is it not giving me an option to watch my live chat? Test chat. Let's try that. Did I not add it to my chat app? Yep, I'll get this thing dialed in at some point. You're just gonna have to unfortunately bear with me while I get my my ducks in a row, if you will. Do I have chat? Oh, looks like I need to do a little bit of work here. Just bear with me here for a minute. Geek. Oh, interesting. That's probably not the best thing in the world. All right, get over here. We're gonna move this over so I can see this all in one window. Harley, you're like right on top of me. All right, so that should be good now. And what? There we go. And last but not least, let's see, get my TikTok going here. Sorry, bear with me while I'm getting my ducks in a row. All right, I think I should be good. Let's find out. Okay. We can hide that. What a pain in the butt. All right, let's double check, make sure I got everything set up right. Ba, 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 ba. That looks good. Let me try test chat too. That looks good. Let me try test chat too. All right, well, I'm getting some. That looks good here. Okay, that works. Yay! Test chat too. Almost ready. That looks good here. Okay, that works. Let's get that out of there. Let's double check the other one. Almost ready. Okay, that works. Okay, did that show up? Yay, that's working. We're almost ready to go, guys. I'm just getting all my ducks in a row. Make sure my chat is working on all my sites.
Who's that crazy be?
Yeah, remember that one?
All right, we're gonna do test chat 4. All right, we're gonna do test chat. See if that shows up. Yay! See if that shows up. All right, let me try one more, and then we're good to go. Sorry, it's a bit of one more, and then we're good to go. It's been a bit of a nightmare getting these all the sites and everything working. And actually, you know what? It really hasn't been that bad. The worst one was TikTok, of all things. All right, let's see if that came through. Look at that. We are good to go. What's the deal with that? I've been trying to get this working for, I couldn't tell you how long. But good God, man. I swear it's been just a nightmare. Okay, we're good to go. Oh, that's so awesome. Finally. I've been trying to get this to work for weeks now. And we are officially streaming and with everybody. Let me make sure my other devices are turned down so I don't get any delayed feedback, which would really be annoying or is annoying. I think we're good to go, guys. Holy Batman. I don't know. I was going to say something. I'm trying to keep it PG-13. Oh, holy shit. I can't believe it's finally working. Oh, we got some tea. So, all right, let's get into it. I see we got a few friends there hanging out. So if you don't know me, I'm Sebastian, but my friends call me Seb, and I create the comic strip called Bello Bear. If you're not already following me, please go to your social of choice and look for @Bello Bear Official. So BELLO, Bear BEAR, and official as an official. And just follow me because I post new comics pretty much every day except for Sunday. So you get 6 new comics every week. I do 2 different kinds. One are what I call episodes, and those are more story driven. They're fun. I always try to add some humor, and I think they work well because they keep the story going. They're but we still have a good laugh while we're reading them. And if you don't know, Bello Bear is he's a polar bear who has a best friend named Avery, who is a houseplant. And Bello owns or started a small deli, like a little small sandwich deli. It's his lifelong dream that he wanted to do that. And so we get to watch the trials and tribulations of that happening. Fun story, good stuff. So, like I said, if you want to follow along, hit the your favorite social of choice and look for Bello Bear Official. And today, so you're going to get to watch me make a comic strip. And that's kind of what we're going to do. Just so you know, too, I'm going to start streaming The plan is to stream every day from 12 to 3, or Monday through Friday, 12 to 3, and I'm on Mountain Time. So right now we're the same as Pacific Time until daylight savings ends, and then we are one. They spring forward, fall back. So I guess they'll be 1 hour behind us. I think or ahead of us, behind us. Duh, fall back. So anyway, but so I'll be on every single day, and it's going to be a little rough the first couple of days here. I think just kind of getting in the groove, and me getting comfortable. But I've already done a few streams, so it's not completely new. But we'll see how it goes. But definitely follow me and hang out. And if you like what you see, don't be shy. Hit the chat, say hello. I do like feedback. I love chatting with you guys while I'm working. And too, when we're in the writing stage of an episode, I definitely would love some input. I'll ask you guys, what do you think we should do? Topics, what have you. But let's get to it. That's enough rambling. So we are going to get going. So the episode today is episode 28. Sorry, I've been having this. My allergies have been kicking my butt, so I've got cough drops, so I don't sit there and hack in your ear the whole time. Let me grab one of those now. So today's episode is called Chicken Gum, episode 28, panel 1. So I'm just going to read through the script. I already wrote the script ahead of time. In the future, the plan is to do the writing with you, and so the idea is that we're going to do day 1 will be the writing day. We'll work on the script. Day 2 will be the art side of it, like traditional 4-panel comic strip, and then day 3 will be the video version. That's the plan anyway. Depending on how things go time-wise, it does take me a long time to do all of these. Right now, it takes me probably like 4 to 5 hours to do just the artwork and then the video version. So we'll see how it goes. That's my tentative plan. But let's dive in. Let me go ahead and read the episode today. Read the script. That's already pre-done. Panel 1, Bello Bear. Woohoo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now. Oh, and I'll give you the visual of what it is. Basically, he gets a phone call, takes an order, and then we get into the dialogue. And then we get to Bubba, and I didn't mention Bubba. Bubba is a pig who is his main cook, his head chef, I guess, if you will, for the deli. He hired him when he actually had 0 customers and 0 money coming in. But he said, "What the hell? Let's just do it." Go back and read the episodes, and you get the whole story. So anyway, it's let me start again. I'll let you know who Bubba is. Panel 1, Bello, woohoo, a repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week, and that was their first order, by the way, wants us to deliver lunch now. Bubba, all right, let's get cooking. What'd they order? Panel 2, Bello, 3 chicken clubs and a chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing. Stumbled over that one. Bubba says, 10-4. I'll get started on the strips. Panel 3, Bello. Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba? Bubba says, I do. Okay, so why did the chewing gum cross the road? Bello responds, panel 4. It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba. The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot. I know, super cheesy joke, but I like this one. It's for being a chicken crossing the road joke, it is a little bit different, which I do like. So that's our dialogue. So let's get into it. We're gonna get the episode started. All right, and then here is my. I use Adobe, all the Adobe apps for creating my stuff. So I use Adobe InDesign for my layout of my comic strip and the dialogue. And then I set up the individual panels in Adobe Illustrator. We'll see that in a second. So, but for now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to focus on, I'm going to make my window a little smaller so I can see both my script app and the comic, my layout. And what I'm going to do here is I am just going to go and get the dialogue started. So we don't have Avery. This is Avery. This is the houseplant. Obviously, Bubba's the pig, and there's Bello Bear. We don't have Avery talking in this one, so I'm going to get rid of his thought bubbles. since he's a houseplant, he doesn't actually have a mouth to talk, so he communicates through his thought. And of course, our buddies here, everybody in the Bello universe can hear him just fine. Um, so what I'm going to do, let me do one other thing real quick. I To get the dialogue to fit, really nicely in the dialogue boxes, I do some tweaking of the character, of the fonts, squeezing and stuff like that to get it to line up better. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I have this preset as a paragraph style, how the text looks, what font it is, leading, spacing in between the sentences, also kerning or tracking, depending on how you want to say it. That's the space in between each character. So, like, the first one it says what, so that's the spacing between the W and the H, and then the A and the T. And then I also use just scaling it horizontally. Right now, this font is set up to scale. My default is 90%, but I do go down to 85 to get stuff to fit. Anyway, what I'm going to do is, since this was yesterday's comic, I've already done a lot of tweaking with the text. I'm going to go ahead and clear all that off and go to my base paragraph style. And I'm just going to start pasting my dialogue into the dialogue boxes. And the idea being that, once it's in there, I can adjust the dialogue boxes and try to get the things to fit nicely. Sometimes in the script, a line may be too long, and so we might have to go back and adjust it and tweak it too. So that's kind of all part of why I do all this way. And it helps me just to kind of do it in stages like this, helps me focus on the story and the art at separate times. I find if you try to concentrate on everything, something always gets missed and you end up with a typo, or the dialogue, the story of the dialogue doesn't maybe make sense, and all kinds of funky stuff. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. And I am going to open this dialogue box to make sure all the words are in there. Wow, that's okay. He's got a lot of dialogue to start us up. All right, let's get cooking. This one's pretty easy. We are pretty close with the way it is. If you can see right here, like the A and the G don't quite line up. So I'm going to take out a little space. I'm going to do the tracking. I'm going to take out some space there. I'm going to go -20. And -20 is about as far as I want to go before. Otherwise, the letters are literally touching each other, and it's really hard to read. And I'm going to take out a little horizontal space. And the idea is you want your text to line up with the edges of the dialogue box. It makes it easier to read that way. So I think Bubba's line is looking pretty good. Let me slide these both over. And I like to, if possible, I like to center my dialogue boxes, especially with two characters talking. So the space, like where my mouse is, that space in between the dialogue boxes, I like to keep that pretty close. That way, these two characters are talking, to each other. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you have to add more space, but you know what? You try to make it fit as best as you can. So I'm going to do the same thing with Bello's line. I'm going to take out first I'm going to do the tracking. So -20, and I use keyboard shortcuts to do all this. I've been using Adobe apps for 35 plus, or like 30 years, something like that. It's a long time. Let me do it this way. So I kind of know all the shortcuts and stuff, which helps me just work a lot faster. So that fits pretty good. Ideally, I want to take out a little bit more space of the company that ordered, just to get it to line up with the W above. But in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to expand the one above just a hair, just so it's a little bigger. And mind you, I'm super picky when it comes to my type and my fonts. So I'm going overboard on what you need to do, but it helps with readability and it just looks nice. So there are our dialogue boxes for this panel. Ignore the art. This is art from the last episode. It's actually probably not that far off of where we want to be. I want to flip Bello the other way, so he's looking at Bubba. We may not even have Avery in the scene at all, since he doesn't have any dialogue. Maybe he's like outside on the porch getting some sunshine or something. But I find that, if you have a character in there that's not really part of the scene, it can be a little, take you out of the scene, or you're waiting for that character to do something or say something when they're not going to. So I'll probably take Avery out of here, and we're just going to focus on these two guys. That looks pretty good. Again, I'm going to just do the tracking thing, -20, and we're going to go down to 85. And this actually fits pretty well now. Salad with blue, that part of it, I wish it would expand a little bit more to fit better, but this is dialogue too, with a interesting font that is really artsy and looks hand drawn. So you're never going to be able to control it as good as you would if you use like any other font, like a sans serif font, Arial, or what have you. Those are easier to control. This one, I'm going to take out Get Started, or I'm going to shorten that a little bit. Again, I'm trying to get it so these fit really nicely in the boxes. I could have it kick down to the next line, but I'd rather have the bigger lines at the top and kind of gradate down, if you will. It's a little easier to read, easier on the eyes, because otherwise, this is all stuff I've learned doing graphics and marketing work over, eons of years. I officially started in 1990, if you can believe that. So 35 plus years. Anyway, so I'd rather have it a little bigger at the top. That way your eye focuses at the top first and moves down as you're reading it. So let's zoom out a little bit here. Sorry, I zoomed too far. Try to get this centered on the panel. That should be about right. I'm not going to worry about the dialogue, the triangles right now. I'm just trying to get all the dialogue boxes kind of set where I want them. That looks pretty good. Again, you want your dialogue to kind of fit the best you can. This one's going to be a little weird, I got a feeling. Yeah, see, I wish the middle wasn't as condensed, the two lines in the middle, but I think on this one, in this case, we're just going to have to go with it. Sometimes you don't really get a choice. It does line up pretty well with the top one, so it's not terrible. Like, it's almost like bookends, so your eye naturally kind of starts at the top. Let's take some space out of this one. I think that one's probably, we might go a little bit more, but let me I always do the tracking first and then condense the characters width-wise. The scaling, horizontal scaling. And we'll slide this over to get them a little tighter in the box. That looks pretty good. I think we're going to do, since this one's really wonky with that bottom line, is I'm going to take out a little extra space in between the words. Again, I'm doing this with the tracking. So instead of it being like 100 -20 before, like the regular letters are, I'm actually doing like -100 in between. And then I'll actually take this down a notch. I don't like going below 85, but to make it fit a little better, sometimes I will. And let's center these guys. There's our dialogue centered. And this one, okay, this one's really just not going to fit well. I could go "it is," but that sounds weird because "supposed" is kind of a long word. So you usually tend to use "it's" before it. Like, "it is supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba." I guess it works, but it doesn't sound as natural. Instead of "it's supposed to be a chicken joke," like you're focusing on "it's supposed to be," So what I'm going to think, I'm just going to, this one I'm going to have to, unfortunately, have it a little bit wonky. We'll take a little bit of space out the top, our usual way. We'll condense the font and do a little bit of kerning in there. This one I don't need to, but I'm going to do it just because, again, I think your eye flows a little more natural with the top line being the longest. And then you kind of grade it down, even though there's a little bulge with chicken joke and then Bubba at the end. The other possibility is we could try to rewrite this a little bit to fit a little better. I will do that pretty frequently. That's definitely not unheard of. And then let's break this inwards. I always like to do, have it split down on 4 lines of text. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is going to be the same as that one. So let's, oops, didn't mean to zoom there. I always do that with my mouse. I've got I'm on pretty much Apple everything, just because I started that way with my graphics work back in the day. If you did graphics, you were on a Mac. Now, of course, you can use PC, whatever the heck you want. Um, but anyway, I'm using a Mac with the Apple Magic mouse, um, which it's actually a pretty damn good mouse, ergonomics aside, and I'm very comfortable with it because I've used it forever. I know a lot of people hate the ergonomics of it, but I'm going to take out a little bit of horizontal space on that top line. There we go. That looks pretty good. All right, let's go ahead and hit save. Oh yeah, anyway, so my mouse, the cool thing about it is, unlike most other mice, it doesn't have, a trackball for you to scroll up and down or even side to side. It literally has a trackpad on the top, which makes it super convenient for scrolling, around any direction. But it will do some funky things with zooming in and out if you don't keep two fingers on it, which I tend to lift off one finger and then I get this crazy zoom. So if I go, sorry about the zoom, that's why. It'll just zoom out really fast and do weird stuff. Anyway, so we got our basic setup done. Let us go and start on panel 1 art. So I'm in, like I said, I use Adobe products. This is InDesign. I'm just going to go ahead and right click my panel 1. I'm going to hit edit original, and it's going to open up my my art in Adobe Illustrator. And this is where I set up my panels. As you can see, let me zoom out a little bit more. Basically, if you know anything about animation, this will be very familiar to you. This is basically, a key background, and you can move the characters on top of the background anywhere you need to. I have pieces, and I'm going to need these anyway. So let me go ahead and open this file. My support file for my characters. And again, this is like I took a lot of cues from doing animation. I never did professional animation, but I learned how to do it just because that was what I loved as a kid. And so that's kind of the way I've designed how I build my comic strips. I have all my characters. Some of these characters you're getting a sneak peek at. They haven't even made it to the comic strip yet. But you can see, like, I've got, Bello, all the different angles. He's got different arms. He's got different feet. He's got some walking feet that I use too. Actually here attached to this Bello. I've got him, sitting down. And then there's Bubba. He's got different poses and different arms. And then we have all the different faces. So you can imagine. So here's Bello's face. You can take different eyes and stuff. So let me make sure this is sent to back. I'll just kind of show you how I put these together. So these are kind of my neutral eyes. Then you can add eyebrows. And we can do a mouth, like if he's not happy camper. I'm going to rotate that just a little bit. Let me zoom in here. You can rotate the mouth. You can put the eyebrows down a little bit more and just create expressions. Again, this is really based on animation principles, but it works really well with making comic strips too. Because you're short of you introducing brand new stuff, a lot of your characters' positions and the way they talk and move, they're going to be kind of the same day to day. And it's a way to kind of speed up my whole process. It still takes really freaking long, but instead of like having to draw each character, the whole thing, and then do like a different face if he's mad about something and putting a snarl on his face, it's easier for me to take the same character and then pop on a different face. And this is very, very animation based. Sorry, I'm going to keep drinking my tea and sucking on my cough drops because they are helping tremendously. We're out in southern Arizona, in a small town. So we're not super hot compared to the rest of Arizona. We're at like 4,400 elevation, I think. 4,400 feet. It's 4,000 feet, and our town size is about 44,000 people, I think. Anyway, so it's not so hot here, but in Arizona, if you guys don't know, or if you don't live here, or anywhere in the Southwest, really, this is our monsoon season, or pretty much the end of it. We got a little bit of rain left. But this is so it's monsoons and basically springtime almost because all the plants go ape shit right around this time. So I've always got the stupid, terrible allergies going. Last week I almost felt sick, but at the end of the day, I think it was just allergies. Um, so anyway, let's go with. We can pretty much keep these characters almost the same. Like I said, I'm going to get Avery out of here. He's not part of this story today, so I'm just going to slide him off frame, and I might, let me see about layers, background. I'm going to get the TV. Maybe slide that over just a hair. Granted, it's not in the same position it may have been in the, in another episode or even the last episode, because the last episode it was right there. But it's about moving stuff around and kind of getting the best feel. Um, I want my two main characters to be pretty close to each other, so it looks like they're naturally talking to each other. Plus the voice bubbles above them line up well. And so if you remember, we had Bello takes the phone call about getting the order. So let me double check what our text says. Woohoo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week. Okay, so he's done with the phone call, so I don't really need him talking to the phone. Let's rotate that a little bit. And I'm going to rotate his arm going down instead. Like you can still see the phone. Oh, that's weird. Let me bring this to front. The phone was going like behind him. And let me move the cash register out of the way. Ugh, there it is. That's another one. Besides the zooming in and out, it'll also like shift something to the side weirdly, and I have to undo it with Command Z on the Mac. So anyway, so let's see. Let me see about. I want to show the phone to reinforce that he took the phone call, but I don't want him talking on the phone. So that feels pretty good right there. I think when we give him a different mouth though, because he's very happy, he's excited that they got repeat business. I don't know if I'm going to grab both I call it the high mouth and the medium mouth. So depending on the level of emotion, I'm going to grab both of those. I think the high might be too much, although he is pretty stoked they got another order. So, let's go with it. We might give Bubba the medium mouth. Let's move that over here. We are going to flip that horizontally, though, because the tongue should be on the other side. And I think that looks pretty good. So let me go ahead and hit save. Wait, why does that still say password 123? Interesting. Let me double check I may have not gotten my naming correct. Chicken Run or Chicken Run. Did you guys see Chicken Run? Any animation fans out there? That was a fun movie. It says Chicken Gum, so why does this one say? All right. Sometimes this happens too. This is where you pay attention a little bit. I don't want to save over my old art, so I'm going to just go ahead and. Oh, I know why. Okay. Too long to explain, but bottom line is I didn't do one extra step I should have. Okay, now we're good. So we're going to go back to InDesign. Like I said, this is my my layout program where I bring in all my pieces, all my graphics into here. It just it makes it easier to control stuff because I can control where the background crops. I can control where my characters are instead of me trying to do that in Adobe Illustrator with 4 different panels right next to each other and then just masking them out. Masking out the rest of the background I don't need. That's asking for a disaster to happen. So this is a very nice step to make sure I don't screw something up at the end of the day is what that means. Okay, let's go ahead and place our art. Dollar up. No, we want Chicken Gum 1. So I call him whatever the name of the comic is. I use the same title, and then at the end of it, I put a 1, 2, 3, 4. So depending on which panel it is. Obviously, this is panel 1. All right, let's do some moving some stuff around. I want my characters to kind of line up where I don't know if you can see them on the screen there. I guess you can see it over the TV kind of. That line right there, I have the same thing on the other side. And then one in the middle. And this kind of helps me frame my characters. If it's 3 characters, one kind of supposed to be on each guideline. If not, then the 2 are kind of in the middle. Sometimes a little offset with the TV on the left side. It's a little bit more offset, but this feels pretty good. We might go just a hair more. There we go. Because I want our thought bubbles lining up pretty well too. I usually try to have it kind of over the characters like outside ear, kind of above the middle of their head. If you're kind of going to lean towards one side, it's going to be so. If I'm looking that way, wait, can you see me? Okay, yeah. So it's going to be more towards like this ear right here, or more or in the center. But anyway, you get the idea. So bellows, I'm going to slide over just a hair. So we got our base art done. This is, let me go check our script, but this one's going to be pretty straightforward art-wise. It's more about the dialogue between them, which tends to be what I do with my comics. Unlike a comic book or superhero thing where there's lots of action and stuff, this is more dialogue based. This is more of a sitcom, if you will, in comic book form. So there's not going to be a whole ton of art for me to do, but I do want to do a lot of subtle details to really make this not look like I used the same damn picture for all 4 panels. It just, if you do that, it takes you out of it. And if you know anything about animation, you always want to have something to be different. You never want everything to line up perfectly. So even if you were like drawing me as a character, like you're looking at me straight on, wrong way. If you're looking at me straight on, like both of my ears will never be the same. My eyes will be slightly off. Your arms, your shoulders, everything will be slightly different. That way it looks more natural. It's if you know anything about animation, that is one of the key things to do. It applies to doing comic strips as well, and comic books too. So graphic novels, that whole kind of thing. Anything you're trying to draw, you want to have some sort of, let me redo that. You want to have just a natural feel to it. And that's one way to do it. All right, so we've got, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to copy and paste the same one on all of them because we're going to use whatever the panel 2, we're going to use panel 1 as a starting point, and we're going to adjust our characters and move them around. That way we're not reinventing the wheels. We don't have to if I worked with say a blank background, and then put the characters on the page, I'd have to figure out exactly where they go to match what they did in the previous one. And it's a real nightmare if you're trying to do that. So use your last one and draw the new one. Again, it's another animation technique. So imagine if you know animation, it's like 24 frames. If you're doing film, it's 24 frames a second. So each frame is going to be a slightly different, slight movement. So if I do this going across the screen, and then you watch that in 24 frames a second, like you took a snapshot of each time my hand stops there, then it stops there, then it stops there. It's like motion animation too. You put 24 of those together, and then you run it, consecutively. It looks like movement. So anyway, that's another kind of trick I picked up from animation techniques for making my comics, and that way I don't have to reset everything on the page. Like I said, these things tend, just for the artwork, these things tend to take me a solid, I think 3, maybe on a fast. If I'm not chatting, I can probably bang it out in about 3 hours. And if it's a pretty simple one, but realistically, they take me 4 to 5 hours to get these things done. So, side note here, I have to move this panel up just because it doesn't line up exactly the same as the top one does. I won't bother with a long detailed explanation, but basically my margins are a little different because of my center line that goes across the panels. So I have to make sure that the amount of space, like you can see it here on the dialog box and the TV, needs to be about the same on the bottom panel. So I just manually have to move that up a little bit. No big deal. You probably wouldn't even notice it, but I do because I'm super picky. All right, so we got that. So this gives us a good idea of what our comic's actually going to look like. Oh, good God. I think, let me double check. What's my caps lock on? We're actually going to do, this will be interesting. A good way to kind of show you the whole deli too. So if you're looking at it, the left side, let me go back to my Illustrator. We're actually going to use we're going to do the next step in here anyway. So if you can see, the deli, kind of the front door is on the left, and we got the TV and the host station, kind of, also left-ish from the center. To me, this is kind of the center, is this booth by the window. And then the right side is where the like the deli counter, where they actually make the sandwiches and cook and what have you there. Because they are talking about making the food, we're actually going to probably see these guys transition. So you're going to see them walk across, and then the final panel, they'll probably be over here talking to each other to finish this off. But let me double check the script. Yes. All right, let's get cooking. What did they order? So pretty much after the first panel, to panel 2, I think we're going to need them to be heading, towards the back of the deli. I don't know which way am I pointing. It's weird with the way the camera picks you up. I think I just did it backwards. Anyway, they got to walk towards the back of the deli where they do the food prep. So we'll have them talking along the way. Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road? Okay, so probably panel 2 and 3, we'll have them walking. So let's get to, so panel 2, there'll probably be, maybe we'll have just a hint of the host stand, and then the window, kind of the middle of the deli, or what I'm calling the middle of, even though it doesn't perfectly line up in the middle of the deli right there. And then panel 3, they'll be passing the counter, the back counter, and then finally they'll be standing at the back counter to finish it off. It's actually a nice transition to show you the deli too. So let's get to it. So we're gonna do, all right, Bella's, we're gonna get rid of the phone. We're gonna grab him, copy. I'm gonna go ahead and delete him because he's gonna go on a different layer. Speaking of animation, most animation is done with having different layers of stuff. So we're gonna put him in the foreground on the first layer. There it did. It did the zoom thing, or move across the screen thing. Let me grab. What's up, Harley Bear? Are you sleepy, puppy? Mwah. Why don't you come lay over here? Come on. Come lay on your blankie. She's such a stinker. You go see mommy too if you want. I'm in the middle of making comics, bud. All right, let me grab his arm. We're going to need that because right now he's missing arms. I mean, we don't see the other arm because it's behind his body anyway. And then let's grab Bubba. Let me delete Bubba. We're going to go grab the other Bubba. I don't think we see his feet. I guess I can just use that Bubba. I was going to say I want to change out the Bubba that's got moving feet, but we don't see the bottom of the character, so we don't really need to. But let's flip him around. And then we'll move him there. I'm going to move the table out of the way real quick. Same thing with the host stand. Oh yeah, and then if you didn't notice, but Bubba stands on a crate because he's a little shorter, and he's got super tall platform shoes. He doesn't like being short, apparently. Excuse me. I'm going to swap out arms too. Since they're walking, when you're walking, you kind of swing your arms. Doesn't have to be exaggerated or anything, but it's just a little bit more natural. I'm going to bring his arm down a little bit. And then Bubba, we're going to swap out his arm too. Copy. This speeds up the process of doing this so much because, I could literally spend, 2 hours on each panel just drawing it by hand. And you know what? I kind of would love to because I do love drawing, but for the sake of being able to post these every single day, or even 6 times a week, you got to cut corners somewhere. You got to save yourself some time. So, all right, everything's back. And bring the table or the table and chairs to the front. His arm was kind of in front, which looked weird. And then I'm going to go ahead and save as. Oh, I should have saved as in before I got deep into that one. Always do a save as before you start changing something. Sometimes you'll forget and you'll save over your original panel 1, and then you have to go back and try to fix that, which is a pain in the ass. and we're already constrained for times. All right, back into InDesign, and I am going to, what am I going to do? Oh, we're going to swap it out for panel 2. Ding. There we go. All right, let's slide our panel over. You know, I think I need to adjust our characters. See how much taller they are on this side. It's okay that, you know, technically they're closer to the camera. So they may look a little bit lower, but that's like a really big difference. So I want to change that. And then we're going to change their mouths and stuff too. You know, like I said, you always want to change stuff out so it doesn't feel like it's static. And then let's grab, let me move this table out of the way. A lot of times, you know, these are all kind of, these pieces are grouped together. So I can just grab Bubba and I can slide them around, and then we bring all this stuff back. Let's save that and see how it lines up. I'm going to update. Sometimes it updates in here automatically, the preview. But in this case, I got to hit the reload button. And that looks better. I think, what am I missing? Something looks a little funky. Maybe the character is a little too high in the first panel. Or we may, the other, you know, it's optical illusion, but I think I may just make these guys a little bigger. So, because I want them to fundamentally be about the same size as they were in panel 1. Let's see. And I might have to, I always like keeping my dialog boxes at the top. Like I have a guide here that I like to line them up on, but this is really far down for Bubba. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to split these apart. Like I said, I usually like to have them together, but since they're walking, splitting them apart helps a little bit, so you don't focus so much that Bubba is like way the hell further down. So I think that works a little better. And you know, I might move him a little bit back. Let me hide this again. I'm going to move him a little bit back and slightly up just a bit. I don't want to go too high, but let's see how that looks. There we go. Yeah, that works a whole lot better. That gives it a little bit more dimension too, because he's covering up the edge of the host stand. So I think that fits a little better. Let's go play with their mouths and expressions. What do we say here? 3 chicken clubs and a chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing. I don't know why I'm having a hard time saying that line. That does sound pretty good though. I haven't had lunch, so I wouldn't mind that right now. All right, there goes my tea. Moving on to water next. And then 10-4, I'll get started on the strips. So let's go with, these are more just conversational. They're not like super happy at this point. Maybe what we're going to do is, let's get rid of the eyebrows. This is just more like neutral conversation. I am going to get rid of the super happy mouth. I think I'm going to give him the medium expression mouth, medium happy mouth, I guess, because he's still excited. You know, he was super excited. We got an order, you know, but now he's kind of like, we got an order. Now we're gonna make the food, and he's still got a little bit of the excitement. Bubba's pretty happy, but you know what? I think what I'm gonna do is we're gonna do kind of we're gonna do a neutral mouth, and I am gonna grab medium eyebrows. I think the combination of those two together will probably work pretty well. Let's move that up, because it doesn't, you know, it doesn't look sad or anything. So let's see. Let me zoom in here. I don't know. I may have spoken too soon. I think we may need the happy mouth. Yeah, let's just see how it looks on the page, and also in comparison to panel 1. You know. All right, he's happy. Yeah, you know, I think that works okay. 10-4, I'll get started on the strips, you know, let's go get them kind of thing, but earnest, like excited, but earnest and ready to pitch in. So that looks pretty cool. And then, so I'm going to go ahead and save just for sake of argument. That's one of those, another thing, like, I remember back in, oh God, I am getting so old. back in I want to say like early 2000s, I was working at a company doing graphic arts, which is still my main job during the day. Um, and you didn't have like autosave feature like you do now with Adobe apps. So if you might be working on something like a design of something, and you've just been working for like an hour and a half straight, uh, all of a sudden your computer crashes and your work for an hour and a half was gone. There was no autosave, which of course most apps, and including Adobe, now has. But so you got in the habit of just whenever you were like at a half of a breaking point or switching between apps, you just hit save. So I still do that to this day. Um, okay, so now we need to do what's next. We are going to. So I'm gonna go ahead and hide stuff again, just so it's easier for me to see what's going on. Let's go ahead and, oh gosh, I have this is another setup for Avery. I'm going to slide that out of the way since he's not part of our gig. And we're going to slide over, grab Bello. So this way they're walking towards the back, and then we need to bring this to front to cover them. And I forgot. Remember to do the save as soon as you open it up or start on the next panel, do the save as. I almost forgot, because sometimes you're like, oh, this looks great, and you just hit Command S for save on the Mac, and you're like, oh crap, I didn't change the name of it. Now I got to go back and fix it. Anyway, let's see how it looks. We'll come back and we'll change your expressions and arms and fun stuff to to keep it from looking really stale. Obviously, we moved them anyway, so the background is changing. But I do like moving them, changing them up as far as their expressions, the head tilt, and what have you. We're gonna move this up. Gosh, Bubba looks so short here, and Bella looks too tall. Let's see if we can't. I mean, we don't have to be exact, but I should have grabbed all of Bubba and grouped him while we're moving it. Whoops, I forgot his arm. I'm going to group him together. It's like all the pieces are set so I can grab anything anywhere and I'm not missing anything. Let's slide him up. Hey, he's missing the front of his shoe. How the heck did that happen? Yep. Doesn't really matter because we don't see it, but let me go ahead and fix that. Oh, no. Weird. I guess I could just grab the old, the one I have on the other page, and we're not going to see his shoe anyway, but might as well fix it. All right, let's go ahead and hit save, see if that fits in. Oh, I forgot to bring all the stuff back, the furniture back, but let's just see. Yeah, that's not too bad. All right, let's bring the furniture back, and now we'll change our characters up a little bit, switch out arms. What are they saying? That was looking at what they're saying, what the script says. Let me grab my water a little closer so I'm not flying off the screen here. Looking at what the script says a lot of times helps me kind of figure out what the poses should be. So let's see. Bello Bear, speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba? I do. All right. Let's see. So it should be pretty jovial. Now, Bello might keep the same mouth. I think, I do want to change it up, so we may tilt his head a little bit. And I like this too, with his arm like this, he's kind of almost pointing a little bit as he's telling Bubba, hey, do you have any good jokes? What joke we are using the crooked arm. Maybe we move it up a little bit, almost like, I think that might work well. And let's change our mouths. I'm gonna give him the medium mouths. It's a weird word. Let me go back up here, and we're gonna give Bubba the big smile because he's telling a joke. He's way too happy. He's definitely likes laughing at his own jokes, I would think. You know what I mean? I'm not sure about the eyebrows. Let's get rid of that. The other thing I'm going to do is we are going to move Bello's head. Let's move that down so he's looking at kind of the back of Avery at Bubba's head. And I'm going to tilt Bubba's up a little bit, almost like he's kind of, getting ready to laugh heartily. So we'll move that up a little bit. And also, like, he's proud of telling this joke. So he's going to move up a little bit. So let's see. I am going to go ahead and move. I've got some crap in the background behind them, just like stuff on the counter. I'm going to slide him up just a little bit to cover that up. It was looking a little weird. Plus, I think it works a little better. He's really far from the dialog box, so I think this will work a little better. Go ahead and save and go back into InDesign. We're going to update, and let's see what we got. There we go. That looks pretty good. Let me compare it to the previous one. So you can see his arms, Bello's arms, both of their arms are different. Heads are different. I might add an eyebrow here to Bubba. Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke? I don't know if that's really when you raise your eyebrows to it when you're saying it. So Bubba can use some raised eyebrows though, because he's very excited to tell this joke. So let's see how the I call them my high eyebrows. Let's see how those look, because he's very excited about telling this joke. Oops. Yeah, I think that'll work good. Slide his eye just a hair that way and go down. All right, let's see how that looks. We'll go ahead and save, update in InDesign again. Yeah, I think that works better. Let's, again, I think I'm going to split these boxes apart a little bit just because they are walking as they're talking. And like I mentioned before, I don't like how big the space is in between the dialogue boxes. I like to have it closer. I might have to bring these guys up just a hair more because it just feels like it's really far. Like that's about how much space I usually like having for the dialogue box. I did make this a little bigger, I think. So 160. 166. So let's see about just making this bigger. Sometimes that does the trick too. Yeah, that's not bad. So we're gonna this upper one here was 166. I'm gonna slide this up a little bit too. Like I said, I like having about that same space for the dialogue box. Bubba is so short that his is going to be way the hell down. And I've tried other stuff like the little triangle to point at your speaker. I've tried changing that where it's a little bit longer, which works okay. We'll take a peek, and if you guys don't mind, chime in and let me know which you think is better. Oops, see, I zoomed out too far again. So, and then you'll see over here too. I think the first one really isn't that big of a deal, but the second one, because it's a much bigger distance. So I don't know, it looks weird. I think I prefer the original triangle. All right, well, let's keep it that way for now. I'm gonna move his dialogue a hair that way. Bubba's triangle is gonna go forward a little bit. I know usually I like to go kind of the opposite here, but in this case, since they're moving this way too, I want to have it kind of pointing in the direction, if that makes sense. It's a subtle detail. It's not huge, but to me, it makes a difference. It definitely adds something to it. I'm looking at it too. Let's change. I'm going to go ahead and update this panel, edit original. And I'm going to rotate his arm a little bit downward. That feels a little better. And I'll tell you why in a second. Okay, it updated it for me. Do I want to? All right, let me do one more thing here. Oops. Let's select, edit, original. The other thing too, I'm like, what I do like here is if I move it down just a hair, it doesn't have to be a whole ton. But now his hand is behind that chair. That gives us a little bit more depth, a little bit more dimension which I do like. And like I said, mind you, too, unlike, graphic novels where you got action and moving around and fighting and all kinds of stuff, and, every single panel is a lot of movement. This is more of a sitcom. So we have to do little subtle things to get some movement, to get some depth, to make it more visually interesting. And the art really supports the dialogue. Where I think in like most graphic novels, it's kind of the reverse. Like you want amazing images and crazy action, and then the dialogue is almost secondary. It's borderline depending on what you're reading. Like if it's if it's like a weekly comic book, then I'd say that's true. With a graphic novel, that might be a little bit different. So, but you get the idea. All right, so we got panel 3 done. That looks pretty good. So now let's get to panel 4. What is this? Panel 2. Let me close that out so I don't make a mistake and tweak that one. This is panel. And remember, all right, so finally I'm going to remember. Save as. Yeah, this is going to be panel 4. Ooh, I hear some thunder outside. Looks like we're going to get some rain this afternoon. All right, panel 4. And we are going to take our buddies here. Let me hide stuff. I'm going to grab all the pieces of his head. That's the eyes, mouth, and his head, the arm, and then his body. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this. I'm going to copy. And I'm going to go to layer 3, which is behind the counter. I'm going to hit paste. There you go. And now you see him behind the counter. You know what? Actually, I shouldn't have flipped him because I'm going to have them talking. Yes, they're working, but I think they're still talking to each other. If they're kind of like focused on working, making sandwiches, and I have them both facing the same direction. In this case, I'm going to have them facing each other. So I'll show you how that looks. Let me delete, and then we're going to put Bubba behind the counter, and then he does stand on a box, so he's as tall as Bello. We definitely need to flip him because he is going to be looking that way. I usually like showing just a hint of his feet. And then let's rotate his head because now they're eye level. So we want them pretty much on the same eye level. So I'm going to move his head down a little bit. So now they're like looking at each other. You know what I mean? And then we've got Bello. I'm going to slide him over a little bit. Sure, did I grab everything? Oh yeah, real quick. So let me show you. So if they're both at the counter working away, Bubba would be slid in a little bit more towards Bello's side here. But if they're both working, they're kind of like looking down at what they're doing. Then I have them looking that way. But since they really haven't started working, they're still just kind of getting started. They're both going to be over here. And that looks pretty good right there. Let's see what our dialogue is for panel 4. It's supposed to be chicken. It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba. The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot. Let's see. So what I think I'm going to do, we're going to get him a happy mouth or a medium mouth, which is still happy. Not like the other one where he's telling the joke, where he's really proud of himself. Or telling, doing the, wait, what the heck does he say? Does he set it up there? I do. Oh, that's setup. Okay. The setup is a little more fun for these kind of jokes. Especially with it being, why did the gum cross the road instead of the chicken? It helps kind of push it up and make you go, why is he saying that? And like, reacting like Bello does. So let's go with the happy mouth, the medium. I think I'm going to take those eyebrows. They're a little too much for this one. So let's go with the medium. I do like the eyebrows because it's a reveal and he's happy. He's telling the joke. So let's flip. Slide those down a little bit. That's kind of a good like medium expression. He's not as excited as he was in first one because, Bello didn't react with a laughing out loud kind of attitude. He's more like, this makes no sense. So let's tweak his mouth a little bit. Slide that up. I am not sure yet, but I think I want some down eyebrows from Bello. Like he's not, you know, angry. So maybe a little higher. But like, what are you talking about, Bubba? Where's the chicken in the joke, man? So let me double check. I did. Yes, I did save it as 4. So let's go. Oh, let me change out his arm. Like I said, I always want to change it. This is a perfect spot too. I do have like crossed arms, and so this is part of Bello's expression. Like, what are you talking about? Where's the chicken in the joke? You know, kind of like that. I think that'll work well. So we're gonna go ahead and give him the crossed arms. They go about right there. I need to send them backwards. Oops, too much. Let's go back. There we go. Get his mouth in front. Let me rotate this a little bit. They're a little too he's a little too scrunched up high. There we go. That's better. Nice. All right, that looks good. Go ahead and save. We're gonna go ahead and update in design like usual, or no, not update because we actually got to link it first. We haven't linked this as a brand new panel, so we'll link that. I hope some of my artist friends, if you're watching, this is giving you some tips and tricks on, you know, if you want to make a comic and do it day to day, you know, trying to do that and do your day job and everything else is not easy. So hopefully this is really helpful information for you to be able to do, you know, do your passion project and make your comics and everything. So like I said, usually I like having their dialogue boxes closer together, especially if they're talking to each other. But in this case, since they're relatively far apart, I can move them over though. But there's some distance there. They're not like meshing perfectly. Where, you know, Bello it's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba. So they're not quite on the same page. So their dialogue is not as close together, if that makes sense. You know, we're having to tell a story with 4 panels and essentially 8 lines of dialogue. So you got to do all the little detail stuff to reinforce that, and then that way, you know, it actually makes sense. So that looks pretty good. I am not very happy with one thing, and that is in panel 3, our counter is like really high. I like having it roughly in the same place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down a little bit, and then B, I am going to zoom in. I usually like to keep my my size of my comic pretty much the same on all panels. But since we are moving around and doing stuff, I'm going to throw that out for this one. Or, you know what, let me go back, undo. I think we might just we may change this one, panel 3. So let me go panel 3, we're gonna do edit. You know, I think maybe just, they're not quite tall enough. You know, one thing I gotta say too is I usually keep them the same, whether size-wise, whether they're in the front here or they're in the back. But in this case, I think I might just bump them up or make them a little bigger. Let me hide that. Let me make sure I get all the pieces of them. I might make them a little bigger so they're a little higher in the shot. I don't really want to just yank them up because we do see the bottom of you know, where the path is. Let me see where we crop. So yeah, we almost see the bottom of their legs there. So, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make them bigger. So, yeah, dink. So let's try that. And then I can actually make this panel, which I made bigger, smaller. Because I do, let's see, we got the art inside of this panel is 150%. The second one, we go to 166. So I think in this one, I want to go back down, maybe even 150. That's starting to look better. See, like our counter still isn't quite lining up in the right place. So with that in mind, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to lift up the table. I know now we're covering the pick up here sign a little bit in a different spot than it usually is, but that's okay. We're looking for the illusion of a smooth transition, not for it to be exactly the same. Like I said earlier, you want stuff to look natural. That's more important than everything being like, perfectly lined up and sized and everything else. So that's looking pretty good. I think we might just go just a hair higher. Save. Let's see how it looks. I'm going to update, and then we can slide it down. Like what I really want is I want the counters to line up from panel to panel. So it looks more natural, like a natural transition as we're walking across. And that's pretty damn good right there. I think we're going to go with that. That looks nice. Whoops. Sorry. Again, zoomed too fast. I got to remember to keep 2 fingers on the stupid mouse. Oh, the bane of my existence, this damn magic mouse. I've looked for other mice too. Every once in a while I'll go look. Nobody else makes one with like a trackpad on the top, or with with a good ball that rolls, everywhere, that doesn't get all gunked up and you got to clean every 5 minutes. If anybody even makes the ball, that was like Apple's thing before they made the Magic Mouse. They just had a ball at the top that you'd roll around, and it would, so you got 360-degree scrolling. But nobody else makes anything like that. I've looked, I can't find it, because I'd love to, get something besides the Magic Mouse. But anyway, yappy. I'm going off tangent. Stay on target. Okay, so I'm pretty darn happy with that. Let's see. Repeat custom. I'm just going to read through it just one more time. I don't think I changed anything. Again, one of the things I double check is sometimes it didn't happen this time, but most times, 90 out of 100 times, I will end up tweaking the dialogue a little bit. So we're actually saving a little bit of time there. I didn't have to do that, which is nice. So I think we're pretty good. I think we've got our main comic is done. It's set up. What time we got there? 1:24. All right, cool. So we're halfway. I'm gonna stream for 3 hours in case you're wondering. If I didn't mention it, so we're gonna go 12 to 3, unless we finish early and there's nothing else to do. We can just hang out and chat. Otherwise, we'll cut it off a little early. So now what I'm gonna do, we've got this done. One thing before we dive into that, we're gonna work on the video part of it. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna export. So what I do, once I get this to this stage, I export. I expect export all my pages. So this one, and then you'll see it shortly. I also have separate pages for the video version. I export them all as PNGs. So that way, that's how I'm gonna, I'm gonna post to social media with the PNG, and also to my video program to be able to make the video version. So here is my final. Basically, this is my final art for the static 4-panel comic version, and everything looks good. I was like opening it again, looking at it just to double check, make sure I didn't miss anything. Somebody's arm is out of place, or mouth didn't move quite right, but I feel good with that. We've got different movement. It's enough transition, it's enough change where it doesn't feel like it's static, and I use the same image for every single one. Of course, it helps too that they're walking across the street. So cool. All right, let's keep going. Next up, what I'm going to do is, what's up, Kate? Thank you for the hearts. I appreciate it. I'm working on a Bello comic right now, so you came in at a good time. We just finished the main comic, the 4-panel, and I'm going to dive into the video version next. But before I do, I am going to go to my buddy Claude, who is my writing partner. This is my AI writing partner. If you've watched any of my live streams before, then I'm still not 100% sold on AI. But if you use the tool correctly, it is super helpful. And anyway, so what I like to do once I'm done with the art is I show it to Claude and I say, hey, here's the new episode, or I just say app. Any typos, Oh God, that was a nice typo right there. Typos or issues. And then Claude will take a look at it, give me some feedback. If we did, if we had any text changes, thank you for all the hearts. I really appreciate it, Kate. He lets me know if I have any typos in there or any major issues. Let's see what he's got to say. Flow works well. Character voices are spot on. Visual story, you can see them moving from the counter. Pick it up here, signed. Two character works well. Okay, cool. Well, he's happy. He didn't find anything major that we have to go back with. And, it's always good to have a second pair of eyes because, good God, over the years doing this stuff for 35 plus years, I've had some crazy typos come pop up and stuff. And so having a second, third, fourth, and fifth pair of eyes is definitely helpful. Oh, hey, Kate, just so you know, I finally got my streaming working, but I'm going to try to stream every single day. I think I mentioned that. But I'm going to stream from 12 to 3 Mountain Time. So if you want to come hang out and chime in, and I definitely want your guys' input too when I'm doing these things for story arcs. We'll jump on that one next time with when we're doing some script writing. But I want to get your feedback. Cool. I'm excited. I love being able to do this with you guys because it's way more fun than me just staring at a computer all day by myself. So love it. All right, so we're good on the text and everything. We're good to go. All right, so next let's dive into. I'm closing this out because I'm done with it. Bring all that stuff. Is that? Let me double check, make sure. Okay, I did find one thing. See, this is where taking a second look. I forgot to bring the furniture back. So let me go ahead and hit save. We're gonna update that panel 4. Boom. All right, see, furniture's in there. It's not like a big deal. It's not like it affects the story or anything, but it does take you out of it a little bit. And now that I'm looking at it, I actually want to move my furniture up a little bit higher. So we'll have it slightly in front of the pickup sign, and then we'll go ahead and update in here. Yeah, okay, see, that looks better. Now it's the flow between panel 3 and panel 4 works a lot better too. So let's go ahead and hit save. And then next what we're going to do is we are going to work on the video panels. All right, hang on. I've got to go use the bathroom, and I'm going to grab some more tea. That was probably too much. I could just said I'm going to go get some more tea. You didn't need all that information. I'm going to, you know what? I made a cool little I'll be right back overlay. All right, we'll leave that there. Take the mic off because you don't need to hear me. I'll be right back. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. We got more tea. We got more tea. Woohoo. All right, let me turn off. Be right back. Okay. Let me eat some pretzels. I'm going to eat these first before I put the mic back on so I'm not crunching in your ear. How's that sound? All right. Well, I'll show you those later. All right. I got some tea. And got some more water. We're good to go. All right, so next up, we're going to do the video version. Danabelle, thank you for the rose. How are you? You got me live streaming today. I really appreciate it. Danny Bell or Danabelle? I'm gonna have to ask you that over on whatchamacallit. Oh God, why can't I think of the name now? Where's the app? I don't even have it in there. All right. I don't know. Well, I like Danny too. Danny's nice, so let's go with Danny. I don't know. Danabelle seems more natural, doesn't it? All right. Either way, if you have preference, you'll let me know. I'm so happy you're here. See, you got me streaming on TikTok. It was so hard to get going. I tried so many different ways. Anyway, sorry for I'm gonna be chugging tea because my stupid allergies been kicking my butt. Okay, cool. I'll call you Danny. Danny's nice. All right, so we're at this point. I'll give you a quick recap. The story so far. So here's my script that I'm using to write the next comic strip. This is episode 28, and it's called Chicken Gum. So we can jump back here. So at this point, I've done everything with setting up the artwork. We've got the dialogue in here. It's basically a back and forth with Bubba and Bello and Bubba. Bello gets off the phone. Woohoo! A repeat customer. They literally just got their last customer. It was an episode or two ago. So that's what he's talking about. They called again to get some more food. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now. All right, let's get cooking. What did they order? And that's Bubba, by the way. 3 chicken clubs and a chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing. 10-4. I'll get started on the strips. Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba? I do. Okay, so why did the chewing gum cross the road? To which Bello's like, why chewing gum? This is a chicken joke. It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba. The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot. I know, it's a cheap joke, but it's a pretty fun dad joke, you know? But the whole point of this episode really is to keep telling the story that they're starting to get some business and things are ramping up. And that's kind of the point of the episodes, which I do. So just so you know, episodes are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and they're more story driven. They tell the story of, Bello opening his deli, and then all the character development between him and, Avery's not in this one. He's the houseplant. That's his best friend. But it's, the 3 of them, Bello, Avery, and Bubba. And then we'll start working in the customers too as we move forward. I have a few other characters that we haven't gotten to yet. And and so those are the episodes, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I do what I call bits. So they're like one-off kind of things. They don't have a continuing story. And the idea is that Bello and Avery, they are in they go do open nights, comedy at the comedy club, and trying their hand at comedy. And Avery sets them up, and Bello does the punchlines. Anyway, so with all of that said, we get 6 days of comic strips. All right, so let's move on to the video. So what I do is I take our 4 panels that we made, and I create panels that we'll use to put in the video version of it. They are If you're looking at it on your phone, they're basically set up as a short format, video format. TikTok, YouTube Shorts, whatever. Facebook does Shorts. I'm not actually on Facebook. I'm pretty much on all the other ones. So if you want to follow Bello Bear, if you don't already, just look for at Bello Bear Official, and pretty much whatever social media site you prefer. So, but for the video version, in the 4-panel version, we have, basically like a square shape for each panel. For the video, it's vertical, and so we have to adjust the layout to make it work for that. And I use basically 1080 by 1920 standard video format. And so let's start with, I'm going to go ahead and update this, episode 28. I'm just going to copy and paste my title, make it easy. And this is the intro part of the episode. So we have Bello pop up on there. You'll hear a little bit of intro music, and you'll hear his voiceover where he says, "Hello, I'm Bello. This is episode 28, Chicken Gum." So I set up the visual art to go with that. And then next, what we're gonna do. Oh, one thing I need to do is let me go ahead and delete. So pretty much for each line of dialogue, I have one panel. And these are all the ones from the last episode. So let me get these out of here because we're going to replace all of these. And delete. Sorry, this is probably very boring visually, but it's all part of the process. And then at the end, we'll have a little bit more dialogue from Bello and the guys. So let's go back up. Paste. Oops, I forgot I copied the dialogue. So I'm going to grab panel 1, and what I'm going to do is this is going to turn into 2 panels in the video version. So we paste. I like to shrink it 90%. This helps me fit it better in the more narrow format to get it really to fit well on that page. I'm going to do the same thing. So like I mentioned, each panel gets one line of dialogue. So what was panel 1 in the 4-panel version is now going to be 2 separate panels. And again, I'm going to shrink that down. And then basically just this is, step and repeat. So copy. So you're going to see me zooming around a lot. Paste. Go ahead and delete that. That'll be on the next panel. Shrink 90%. And we're gonna come back to these and we're gonna adjust and tweak to make sure these fit well. But I'm just getting them on the page to make sure everything is there. And then we can go back and do some tweaking to make it work for the video version. All right, next up, panel 3. Again, same idea. So I'm gonna just zoom down, put that there, delete the first dialogue. This stuff is really monotonous and tedious, but it's with any kind of animation. If any of you guys do animation, like we were talking about earlier, this is all part of the process. And mind you, I've made this as smooth and fast as possible, but good gravy, it's tedious. But I think the end result, comes out really good, and hopefully you guys agree. So let's paste one more time. And I forgot to do it 90%. That gives me a little bit more wiggle room with the layout since it's so narrow. 90%. All right, so let's go back up to the top. We're going to start with panel 1, dialogue 1. So we did our intro. We're good there. So I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see this a little better. I'm going to go ahead and make my art fit to the page, which again is 1080 wide and 1920 tall. So video, like normal video format, like if you were watching a movie, you basically rotate it that way, and that's how you get your the size of what a short is on, on YouTube or anywhere else. TikTok and all this, pretty much anywhere. They all use the same format. So I'm going to go ahead and slide my dialogue over. Let's see, we're about to center that there. And then these guys, I kind of figure out like the best position. where I get to see both characters, but we're focused on whoever's talking. In this case, it's Bello. So what I'm doing is I'm using, and this is going to be kind of my guide for the rest of the panels where he's talking. Right here on the left side, I have a guide. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but there's a guideline that literally lines up in the corner of the TV. And that's kind of where I want all of Bello's lines. I want to line it up the same way. Hi, puppy. The puppy is back. She's laying on the floor. You know what? We are getting pretty close to her afternoon walk time, so I think she's letting me know she's ready. Our little stinker. She's such an awesome dog. Makes us smile every day. She's really, really great. All right, we're gonna move over his dialogue. Again, this, we've already set up the artwork, so this isn't going to be that exciting. This is probably more exciting, like if you were thinking you wanted to do animation and kind of learn some tricks here on how I animate my comic. I call them watch-along comics. How I animate them to work. This is what I do, and you'll see it. I think it works pretty darn good. You know what? We do need to come back and we need to tweak the artwork. I'm talking too fast. We need to tweak the artwork on these. But that's okay. We'll come back and do that. Right now, I just want to get everything lined up. Oh yeah, I was all worried about lining up on the TV, but I forgot we are walking across our set. I don't need to worry about that. So we just need to make sure that, like this one, I'm going to probably adjust so that Bubba is not off the screen there. But we'll come back and do that. Plus, I need to adjust too. So in this case, Bubba is not talking. So I don't want him. I'll move it over here just so you can see what I mean. But see how he's got an open mouth like he's talking. Well, I don't want him talking on this panel because this is Bubba's dialogue. So we're going to tweak the artwork to reflect that. But that looks pretty good space-wise. I'm also, when we do go and tweak his face, Bubba's face to not be talking, I do want to slide him over a little bit so he's not getting cut off so much. He can get cut off, but I do at least want like his eyes on the page. This is just a weird cut, like why am I only seeing the side of his head? And my computer is doing some funky stuff with the... Wow, okay. My graphics card decided to nope out or something. That is weird. Let me see if I can get it to... There we go. I just had to move it around. Graphics card freaked out a little bit there. All right, so I'm going to move him. And in this case, we're going to focus on Bubba. So what I'll probably end up doing is sliding, Bello over a little bit to fit better in the panel. Slide that over just a hair. Wait, oh, good God. I got to fix this too, because we've got we do see his feet in this one. So I'm going to have to tweak this a little bit to get it to fit a little bit or to look a little better. We see the box he stands on, and we're seeing his feet. So I might have to really tweak this panel a lot to get it looking better. Anyway, well, let's move on. And now this one, the same idea again. Oops, I didn't mean to rotate it. Same idea again with Bello talking. I'm going to move these guys over. So it's actually probably pretty good of what I want that other panel to look like. You see how he's kind of on the edge of almost walking out of the frame. Oh, and I forgot one thing. If you remembered, I had to move stuff up in the 4-panel version. Now I have to move it back down. I won't bother getting into why and all that stuff. If you saw it earlier, cool. We'll mention it again in another video, but all the little details I have to do to make this thing work right. Right, bud? She's just looking at me like, why are you talking out loud to nobody? Oh, you're wagging your tail. You're so cute. Well, you could come over here and say hi if you want to. No? Okay. She just thinks like, why are you talking to the air? I guess I could just talk to you too. Do you want to learn how to make comics? Yeah, you do. Oh, look at that cutie pie. All right, here she is. We got her fired up. She wants her WALK, and it's not time yet. Right, bud? It's not time yet, honey. Mwah! You're so cute. Look, turn around. No, look over there. Ah, I got you to look. All right, so we're gonna keep going. Forgot I gotta move this down again. I wish I could figure out a simple solution for it, but there really isn't. Without, the reason for it is because that the way on the 4-panel version, there's a white line across the middle separating the panels, which is the same as the outsides, but the way the artwork lines up, it doesn't match exactly the way it lines up, from the top or the bottom white line, and that's why it does that. So maybe I can figure out a way to make that work a little better, but for now, it is what it is. I'm going to slide these guys over. I feel like the focus should be a little bit more on Bubba in this one. That looks pretty good. And I got to adjust my background to match with my page. All right, I'm going to slide this down a hair. I only saw one panel that we really got to do some major work on. Otherwise, everything else looked pretty good. The other ones we're just going to change, their faces a little bit. Like I mentioned, I want, obviously, like Bubba is not talking in this panel. He's reacting to Bello. And I want to change his arm a little bit, little subtle details like we did on the 4-panel version. Same idea. But there's one panel that we really need to tweak and adjust to make it actually function correctly, look good in the context of the other ones. And this one, we're going to slide Bubba over since he's telling his punchline. Let's get this lined up. A lot of this is really monotonous work, which if you're an artist, a fellow artist, and you do, any kind of, comic books or animation or anything like that, you already know the amount of effort it takes. These videos are what, like maybe the amount of effort, the video version of this, I think, is usually like about a minute long, give or take, if even that, minus the intro, outro, and stuff. But it takes me hours to put this thing together just for 30 minutes, 30 seconds of screen time. It's crazy the amount of work that goes into this. Oh, tea and honey is working very well today. Okay, so that's the last one. I think this one, we'll go back and start at the top. So now we got to tweak these a little bit. Like I said, I think we have one panel that really needs some work, but the other ones aren't too bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, like we did before, I'm going to hit edit original. Same principle as what we did above. This one is where Bello is talking. So I want to give Bubba a closed mouth. I tend to use the neutral one in this, just to mention it. Sometimes I'll use one of the other ones if there's a lot of emotion. Otherwise, it's just waiting their turn to talk. Didn't mean to zoom out that far. So and then I almost did it again. I almost saved over what I had originally. In this case, I'm going to do a save as, so this is going to be panel 1, and then I'm going to call it V1 for video. I'll go ahead and hit OK. Might as well close out of there just so I don't mess something else up. And then I'm going to relink to the art file. So I'm going to find my video 1. There it is. Open. Dink. There you go. And now we have, that works much better. I think I'm going to slide this over just a hair. The cutting off Bubba's ears a little weird. There we go. That feels a little bit more natural. All right, so there we go. Panel 1 is done. We're going to do the same principle for panel 2 of the video. So I'm going to go edit original. And this I'm going to remember to do the save as right away. And we're going to call this V2. Since it's still panel 1, but it's V2. And in this case, I'm going to delete eyebrows. His phone, we're going to rotate that down more. Because he's paying attention to Bubba. I'm going to grab the neutral mouth. The idea, this is like if you were naturally talking with somebody. They don't just stand perfectly still. Do you move? Like if we're talking, face to face, There we go. Got to lean the right way. If we're talking face to face, I might tilt my head while we're talking. I might laugh, ha, and I'm moving around. I might gesture with my hands. There's movement as we're having a conversation. So I want that to be in reflected in this too. Make sure I saved it as V2. I did. I'm going to hit save. And now we're going to replace this panel with V2. V2. Perfect. Maybe we'll slide the panel just a hair. Since it's Bubba's line, I want the focus to be a little bit more on him. Still see Bello, but there we go. I think that works nicely. Okay. Here's our first of two, or of the walking ones. Okay, those two. That was panel 3. That's fine. This is panel 2, and I don't like the way this is lining up. So let's go ahead and edit. We'll do edit original, same. And we're going to do save as, and then call this. So this is panel 2, V1. Panel 2, video 1. And I'm really not happy where he's lining up. Let me grab all of him. We're going to slide him over. There we go. I'm much happier with that. Although I think I may, how much do we see of his feet? Not very much. For sake of argument, let me go get, I do have a walking version, of course. So let me grab him. V2, let me close. I'm going to close the other windows. It gets very confusing on which one you're at, so I like closing them. Let's go ahead and hit paste. I'm just going to put him on top here. Yeah, that's better. I'm going to go ahead and hide him for a second. What is our expression? We don't even see him. 3 chicken clubs. Okay. Let me go ahead and just delete all of him. I'm just trying to look to see what his facial expression is so we can keep it consistent. Gonna go there. I'm gonna go ahead and save and place this in there, and we'll see where we're at. And then we'll do further adjustments. Do I need to move Bubba more over to the side? What have you. So that was going to be panel 2, video 1. There we go. See, that looks pretty good already. I think I can slide him over just a little bit more. Let's grab all of his parts. Mouth. Nope, forgot his arm. There we go. That's pretty good. I'm going to close it, give him a closed mouth. Let me slide up. Neutral mouth. Paste. And I like to zoom a little bit. I always like to just slightly off, so it's not like perfectly horizontal. I always like to make it a little bit off center, just a little bit. It makes it feel more natural. Again, we're doing that's always the same principle for everything we're doing with these. I saved. Just gonna go. Oh, look at that! Perfect. We get enough of him where we see him. I think I want to. Only thing I see left is I think I want to move the box, which we see in between his legs there. I'm going to slide that out of the way. I mean, technically it's in the right place, but visually it's just a distraction. We don't need it there. There we go. That looks pretty damn good to me. So let's keep that one. And then this one, that was actually not too bad. Let's go ahead and hit edit. You know what? I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and let me do a save as before I get. We're going to use the one I just did, use it as V2. Since I got kind of all the details worked out as far as, where they are in the frame, the walking thing, the box behind him and everything, I'm just going to work in here. So let's go and I want to grab this, edit original. I'm going to grab his mouth and the eyebrows. And then I am going to go ahead and paste them in here. Makes my life much easier. And then I need to adjust just a little bit. I think eyebrows can go a little higher. V2, let's save. And then we're going to replace this. This was the original, just panel 2 with the V2 version. Boom, there you go. I think we can slide that over a little bit more. And that looks good. So there's Bello talking, and then obviously we go to Bubba talking. Let me see about one thing here. I do want a little bit of visual movement when we go from panel to panel, and these look very, very close. Yeah, you know, actually, I take that back. These are actually pretty good. We can always come back and tweak it later when we actually put the video together. So, all right, and then let's see. We got this one. I think I might. I know we zoomed in a little bit more up top. I think I might zoom out just a hair. Make it fit. Well, okay, then maybe not. Just a hair more. All right, so this one, this actually looks pretty good. I don't think I'm gonna have to do too much work to this. It was just that one panel that kind of looked wonky. So let's go ahead and edit. Oh, I gotta select it. Edit original. And in this one, oh, that's right, I had to move it all the way up there. I'm gonna get rid of the eyebrows. We're gonna go with the neutral mouth. Oh, almost forgot to save. Do save as. Always do the save as. V1. And then I'm gonna zoom in. I'm gonna paste his mouth. Move that up. I like using the arrow keys. Sometimes it's easier to do finite adjustments that way. Video 1, save. Go ahead and change it out. Oops. There we go. There we go. See, now we're having a natural progression. So we're going to go back to that one. We're going to grab the original, edit original, save as, and then this one is going to be V2. And one nice thing is if we got the guys talking with Avery, since Avery doesn't have a mouth, it's much easier. Let me stir this and get rid of the stupid spoon so it's not banging me in the head every time I try to drink. Avery's is nice because he doesn't have a mouth. So we do move him around. We change his position. I'll show it to you next time. You know, he does kind of have a face. One of his leaves is essentially his face. But he doesn't have a mouth, so we don't have to like do like a video too. Like, so if it was like Bello talking to Avery, obviously we have to change Bello's mouth when Avery's talking to him to a closed mouth. But we don't have to change Avery, so it's one less step. That was my whole point of telling you that. Ah, that's good. The tea is definitely helping. Okay, where was I? Okay, I gotta just change Bello. I got sidetracked telling you stuff, telling stories, and I mean, I'm closing some of the other ones. I just don't want to accidentally change one of those. Believe me, it's happened before. When you have this many moving pieces and this many moving parts and slight tweaks to stuff, it gets pretty easy to screw something up. All right, V2, correct. That's the right file. All right, so swap this out. That was still the original panel 3, and now we're going to swap it out for the V2 one. There we go. That looks great. I'm going to go up and just compare the two. So again, I want a little bit of sideways movement because, you know, we're going to see this and it's going blink and then the dialogue for Bello, and then we're going to go other side for the other dialogue. And that's going to change in the video version. So I do like to move the characters so there are maybe not completely centered, but more to the center of whoever's talking. So you can see like this one, Bello is more in the frame and Bubba is almost off the frame. And in this case, it's going to be the opposite. So I'm actually, for this one, I think I'm going to slide it over just a hair because, again, the focus is on whoever is talking. And let's move his voice bubble or voice triangle up a little bit, over left to left a little bit. And here we go. One more panel, and we're getting close to the fun, some more fun stuff, which I think is really fun. Is where I'll show you how I make dialogue, and then take everything and put it together, and you get to see the video version. What time we got? 2 o'clock. Hey, we're rocking and rolling today. Awesome. Like I said, I'm gonna get off here at 3 today. I'm trying to keep it to about 3 hours of streaming a day. I think that's a good amount where we can do a lot of work, but it's also not too much. And I got to do other stuff. We got to take the little puppy here for her WALK, and right around 3 o'clock, she knows what's up. And if it becomes like 3:30 and we haven't gone yet, she gets a little perturbed. She's a little stinker. All right, so this one's pretty straightforward. I think we're pretty happy with the layout. The space between the characters is good. I'm going to slide over just a little bit more, like half of Bubba's ear. I think we're good. You know what? Okay, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of want the guys to be a little closer together. So anyway, let's grab it. We're going to do the edit original, which is going to pop us into Adobe Illustrator like usual. We don't really see the bottom here of his box in the, in the comic. So I'm going to slide him over a little bit. I almost forgot to save. I hate when I do that. Save as V1, and we're going to have a V1 and a V2. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of his eyebrows. I'm going to move his arm down a little bit. Basically prepping him for his dialogue moment while he's listening to Bello. Slide that over, and neutral mouth, that's what I'm going for. Paste, slide it over, rotate it just a little bit. Like I said, I always want it to be slightly askew. It just works better. So let's go ahead and confirm, yes, that is V1. I'm going to hit save, and we're going to place it in here. Edit. V1. There we go. See how he moved over quite a bit? I think that works much better. That works a whole lot better. I'm going to move his dialogue triangle over too. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that same, since I moved the characters, around in the frame, I'm going to use this one to make my V2. V2, save. And then what I can do, I usually do this, is I'll grab the original panel 4, and I can grab his facial expression. And I guess I can grab his, grab his arm too. Go ahead and delete those. Dink. Paste. Oh, I forgot his eyes. All right, we'll just leave those there, and then I'll paste the other stuff. There we go. Slide it over just a hair. And then we are going to change Bello. Let me close these other guys. Wait a minute. Okay, that's good. Oh, got scared. I thought I was on the wrong panel because I had the panel 4 open, but no, we're good. I'm telling you, it's happened more often than not. And then you have to go back and fix the old panel, and it's just a pain in the butt. Let's go with neutral. I don't know if I want Bello to have eyebrows. But let's get his mouth in there first, and I'm going to go ahead and do the update thing. Save. I already saved as V2. Good. So let's go ahead and pop that in here. And V2. Dink. Much better. I'm going to slide it over just a hair. I don't like where his tail is. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. It's not a big deal. So I could do either of two things. Let me go up and we'll look at the other panel. It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba. I like his eyebrows there. Bello's eyebrows, I think that works well. But I don't know if I want eyebrows because I want the focus to be on Bubba on this panel. So I could do either of two things. One, I could make him way higher, like he's kind of reacting like what to his joke, to the punchline. All right, that's not bad. or I could get rid of them entirely. Let's see what that looks like for a second. Save. I don't know. What do you guys think? With or without eyebrows? I like both. I'd say the one thing I like about no eyebrows, more focus goes on Bubba. With eyebrows, you kind of see that his eyebrows are, that Bello's eyebrows up, and then you go over to look at Bubba, which for the video transition, I think works a lot. You know what? We'll go with this because it works a lot better for the video. Kind of makes me wonder if I should go, let me go scroll back up here or look at the 4 panel. I'm kind of wondering if I should raise. No, see there, it doesn't make sense. I was going to say I could raise Bello's eyebrows there, which I think would be cool, but it doesn't work quite as well because he has his own dialogue. He's not just reacting to Bubba. So we'll keep it as is. Let's not mess around. All right, so and then we got to do we need to. So one last thing I do is I add in the outro. There's like an outro with all the guys. Bello says something that is engaging for comments. I always want people to let me know what they think of the comic strip and chime in with their own story about whatever the comic strip was about. So let's see. We might go with share your best, or we could do word. No, I'm just saying like share your best chicken crossing the road joke. And I thought maybe it'd be funny if we did share your worst and put worst in quotation marks. But let's keep it simple. Share your best chicken crossing the road joke in the comments. And it's a really nice way to get engage in dialogue and have people chime in. Everybody knows a good chicken crossing the road joke and dad jokes. Share your best chicken crossing the road joke in the comments. I want to make sure I didn't have any typos there. All right, that feels pretty good. I am gonna bring these in a little bit, do my usual dialogue condensing to get these fit a little better. Like ideally I would love all 3 lines to be about the same width, but that's not always the case. So, but I can bring it down a little bit and get them to feel a little better, a little tighter in there. And then we're going to center that, and we are good to go. Let me copy this. We're going to need to have this as dialogue, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it in here. Outro. That goes there. And let's make sure I've got all my dialogue ready. So basically we're gonna make our dialogue. Oh, before I do that, let me finish off here. I'm jumping around too much. Let's go ahead and save. I'm gonna export again. And we're gonna replace all of our images we previously made. I'm gonna hit apply all. And this is exporting all of those panels we created as PNGs. I like PNGs a little better in this case. I mean, you could do JPEGs or PNGs. PNGs are good if you have stuff with sharp lines, dialogue, text. Obviously, for a comic strip, that makes a lot of sense because you have hard edges on most things. So PNGs tend to work a little better. JPEGs get a little bit more fuzzy, for lack of a better term. It's not like a ginormous difference, but it's enough. Again, I've been doing graphics and marketing and all that stuff for 35 plus years. You kind of learn all the tricks and figure out the best things to do. So we're going to go with PNGs. All right, so we did that. I'm going to hide that app. I'm going to close out of here. I'm going to hide that app. I can hide Claude. We don't need Claude. Now we're just going to have our script, and we're going to work on dialogue. For dialogue, originally I wanted to do the voices myself. I'm a pretty decent voiceover artist. I'm not professionally trained, but I've done enough of it over the years for doing for my marketing projects and things like that, and doing video projects where, I'm pretty decent. Um, the reality is there's just not enough hours in the day for me to do all of this, though. I mean, you see how long that took, and we're actually moving pretty fast. So we got all of that done in about 2 hours, maybe a little bit less. Um, so, I mean, you can tell how long it takes. So now we have to make dialogue. And then we're going to have to put it together in video format with the pictures. We've got some background noise to build like an atmosphere, so you actually feel like you could be at the deli. So it's a lot of work, and as much as I really wanted to do the voices because it would be really fun, I just don't have time. And then I thought, well, I'll just do one, whoever it is. I don't know if my voice isn't really what I pictured for Bello, but maybe for Bubba, or even Avery, though he ended up turning into a British houseplant. So I'm not sure I wanted to do a British accent all the time. I tend to, with accents, I always kind of tend to all of a sudden creep off, and like I'll be doing British, and then suddenly I'd make a right turn into like Australian or something, an Aussie accent with crikey instead. But anyway, even with that, it takes so long. And being an artist, I am so unbelievably picky, that it's going to take me twice as long, instead of me being the director and telling my actor what I want to hear. And in this case, it's going to be a digital actor, an AI actor. It just wasn't feasible. So anyway, long story short, I ended up going with AI to do my voice acting too. I really like, I would really like to hire real actors, but at this point, this is long term. Maybe we can make that happen, but at this point, I'm a one man band. I run my own graphics business. That's still my 9 to 5 or daily job, if you will. So I don't have the time, the money to be able to do this the way I want. So this is the best way I can do this, and come out with a product that I'm happy with. So anyway, let's dive in. I use it's called Hume AI. There's a couple other ones. I tried like 4 or 5 different ones, I think it was. But I got really the best results. So if any of you guys, my fellow artists, if you're looking to do anything like this, or cartoons and with voices and stuff, without having to hire actors if you can't afford it, like I can't right now, check out Hume. It works really well because you can set up specific voices. Like I have all my characters' voices set up. We are gonna go, and it's like I'm paying what, 15-20 bucks a month, in which I get enough credits to be able to do all my dialogue and everything without running out. So anyway, if you're looking for an AI voiceover voice artist, check out Hume. I'm pretty damn happy about it. There was one other one, and I can't think of the name, that I got pretty good results with. But at the end, I thought this worked even better, especially for more creative voices. You can get good voiceover stuff with other ones, but they seem more like for like corporate stuff, corporate presentations, or and you know what I'm talking about. Like if you watched a video on YouTube that's got an AI voiceover, and it sounds really good for like 2 sentences, and then all of a sudden it'll say something really weird or pronounce something wrong. It just takes you completely out of it, and I can't have that for what we're doing. Anyway, let me continue on here before I talk myself to death, because I will. I love chatting. So where are we? So I use text to speech. Basically, I copy and paste my script. We use the playground, and this is where I can change my actor. So I'm going to start with Bello, because I do like, here under my voices, I've got a bunch of voices. So I've got Bello, I've got Avery, I've got Bubba, I've got Lewis, who is the TV announcer. So if you've seen the other comics, if you haven't, go check them out, and you'll see this Lewis is the TV announcer, the guy who's always the newscaster, I guess. At one point, I had a pizza guy, a crazy pizza guy, that I used, and then we've got I don't know what the heck Deep and Evil was for, and then we've got a Siri-ish. So like if they're talking to their phone, obviously I can't use Siri for copyright problem issues. So I made like a Siri-ish kind of a character, which sounds pretty good. I really like her. And then I add effects on top of the voice. Um, which makes it sound more realistic. But you'll see that when we get to the graphics program. For now, let's go with Bello, and we are going to get all of our dialogue lines done. And the way I do this is, oh, I need to do this. Let me update my text. So if we're going to do intro, outro, panel 1, 2, 3, 4, all the lines, and I always do it with one character at a time. So I'm going to start with Bello, and we're going to do all of his lines. We're going to do intro, outro, his line for panel 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll come back and then I'll do Bubba's line 1, 2, 3, 4. I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm pretty comfortable with knowing what I'm hearing and being pretty sure it's going to work. If you're not, if you're just starting out, definitely do it in order. So like panel 1, you would get Bello's line, and then do Bubba's line right afterwards. So that way you could play one right after the other, and you can make sure, okay, this sounds like a natural conversation. I'm pretty comfortable with having done this for a long time, so I tend to just do them in order to save a little bit of time. So in Hume, if you've never used it, it's pretty cool. So one, you paste in your text. I've got my character selected, Bello. I paste in my text for the intro. There is another thing in here that's really cool. You can auto-generate acting instructions, and it'll base this on what's in the text you pasted in there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit auto-generate. If for some reason this doesn't come out the way I want it, I'll go ahead and tweak this manually. But usually it comes out pretty good. So it came up with acting instructions are the voice is cheerful, friendly, and slightly quirky, which is perfect for an intro. And then you have other options too, like you can tweak the speed. All this is pretty much where I wanted at this point. Wave file is fine, and I'm just going to hit generate, and then let me make sure. Okay, the audio is on, so you guys should be able to hear this. So I'm going to hit generate, and then we'll hear what he says.
Hello, I'm Bello. This is episode 28, Chicken Gum.
All right. Hopefully you guys don't get an echo because I've got the speaker on so I can hear it too. Let me play it one more time.
Hello, I'm Bello. This is episode 28, Chicken Gum.
That's not bad. It feels like he's kind of running through it pretty fast though. He tends to talk a little slower, like if you've seen the other comics, then you know. So I'm going to hit generate and get a new one.
Hello, I'm Bello. This is episode 28, Chicken Gum.
Okay, that's not bad, but it's a little weird. So if you listen to Hello, I'm Bello, like the way he enunciates that just sounds odd.
Hello, I'm Bello. This is episode
Hello,
28,
I'm Bello.
Chicken Gum.
Like, why would he say it like that? So you keep generating.
Hello, I'm Bello. This is episode 28, Chicken Gum.
I like that. He's almost kind of dejected, like, another episode. Let me hear it one more. We might just use this because it's kind of funny the way he says it. I really hope you guys can hear this without echo. If you get a lot of echo, you let me know.
Hello, I'm Bello. This is episode 28, Chicken Gum.
All right, I think I'm going to use that one. I like his enunciation there. There's something going on. Like the way he says it is just kind of funny. Let me go to my downloads. All right, let's go ahead and delete the old one. I'm going to go ahead and download. And so that one's really good. So you got to work with the AI a little bit, you know. It's a tool like anything else. If you work with it and you work with it the right way, you can get some really good stuff out of it. It's, you know, people are scared about AI just, you know, doing everybody's job. And of course, there's going to be some of that. But as a whole, it's another tool, and you kind of have to move with the technology. Like back in the day, when I started out, they were just starting to teach computer graphics in school. We learned everything by hand, like old school paste ups. And unless you're like old like me, you're probably gonna have no clue what that is. But you know, we literally made everything by hand. Where once computers got into the game and graphics programs, I mean, you know, you could play with fonts and all kinds of stuff. Back in the day, if think of like a newspaper or a magazine. You got your picture, so you'd have a page basically, and you put your picture, you paste that on the top of the page, and then you would send out for your text the way you wanted your text to be with whatever fonts. You would send that out, and you get that as like a printed thing, and then later on you just print it out on a laser printer, but you cut that out and you'd put that on the page underneath your image. Crazy stuff. And so the point being that, once graphics programs and Adobe came around, all of a sudden that was all a whole lot easier. And so the guys that were still producing stuff the old fashioned way by hand, yes, they lost their jobs if they didn't go and get trained on how to use a computer to do the same thing. And that's kind of my opinion on AI, where, yeah, you know what? There's stuff about it that I like. There's stuff about it that I don't like. But I don't think it's going to be taking most people's jobs anytime soon. Anyway, so that's my opinion on using AI for doing this stuff. And again, mind you, I would much rather hire a voice actor to do this. And hopefully at one point, Bello Bear is going to get make some money. I'm going to be able to monetize it, and however, if it's on just having people send gifts on TikTok or any of the other sites that I stream to, or if it's going to be merch. Speaking of which, we're going to do merch pretty soon, and I definitely need you guys to chime in and let me know what you like. So we're going to dive in that. But once I can monetize it, then I'd love to hire some voice actors. Anyway, I just got another side tangent. You guys got to, tell me to shut up and tell me to stop and get back to work when I do that, because I will ramble. I'm terrible at that. And I'm making my throat dry just yapping. All right, so we're going to do the outro. The voice acting is probably fine, but what I found is if I paste a new set of dialogue in, I'm best off to auto-generate new voice acting instructions, because that's when all of a sudden it'll sound like AI and do weird stuff. So anyway, I hit the auto-generate. Just so you know, it says the voice should be lighthearted, amused, and playful. That's pretty much on for what the line is. Remember, this is the outro line that we're doing now, where Bello says, share your best chicken crossing the road joke in the comments. So let's hear what he says.
Share your best chicken crossing the road joke in the comments.
Okay, that's pretty cute. I like the little laugh at the end. The actual line it sounds a little, I don't know, like he's rushing through it. He's not really enunciating much in there. So this is where we're gonna do a few little tricks to trick our AI into hopefully saying this a little better. Share your best chicken crossing the road joke, comma. Let's add a comma there and see, because then he'll just totally change how he says the line. Let's hit generate.
Share your best chicken crossing the road joke in the comments.
See, it's still, I don't know if it's 100%. I'm going to go ahead and save that one. I'm not sure it's 100% what I want, but it's definitely better. Let's try one other thing here too. Sometimes if you capitalize a word, it'll make him kind of focus on that and try to enunciate a little bit more on that. Not always, but sometimes it helps.
Share your best chicken crossing the road joke in the comments.
All right, that's not bad. I'm going to go ahead and save that. I think, again, this is the outro. So, we don't need like an Oscar award-winning performance here, but I do want it to sound pretty natural. Sounds like we got some rain going. I got my blinds closed so we don't get flooded with light, but I can hear it on the roof.
Share your best chicken crossing the road joke in the comments.
That's pretty smooth too. I kind of missed the pause there, but so let's see here. We'll listen to him again, and then we'll pick one.
Share your best chicken crossing the road joke in the comments.
All right. I really like the way he pauses for a half a second in the comments. It just feels more natural. So
share your best chicken crossing the road joke in the comments.
That one's, I like the little laugh at the end, but that one's just a hair too long. Like it doesn't, like why is he pausing there? So I'm going to get rid of that one. And then this is just the straight through with no comma.
Share your best chicken crossing the road joke in the comments.
That's not bad, but like, it feels like he's just running through the words too fast and he's not really enunciating on anything. So I'm going to keep that other one, the second one, I guess it was. So I'm going to label this 0.2 outro. I have a whole naming scheme too, in case you're wondering and you're going to do this kind of thing. Anything with a 0 in the front is intro, outro. It might be sound effects. It might be music. But I do that when I'm saving my files because I've got a list of 20 files. I want it easy to visually pick up on what is what. So anything like that gets a 0. Once we get in the dialogue, what you're going to do now is, not there. I got to go back here. When I save this, so this would be like, this is going to be panel 1, so it's going to have a 1, and then we're going to do dot, and then whether your dialogue is first or second, you're going to get a 1 or 2. And I'll show it to you in a second. It's not like a big deal. I'm going to hit auto generate for acting. In this case, it's giving me the voice expresses happy, cheerful, and excited tones. This is where Bello is talking about getting, basically their second order and a repeat customer. So makes sense.
Woo, a repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
Okay, that's interesting. It sounds pretty good, but he totally missed on the woohoo. He just goes, woo. Check it out.
Woo, a repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
And he's like, repeat? Like he says repeat really, really weird. So let's just generate a new one.
Woo, a repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
Okay, apparently woohoo is not in his vocabulary. So we're going to have to play with this and tweak it, even though grammatically it's not right on the screen, but it helps him read it the correct way. So I'm going to I'm going to hyphenate woohoo. Hopefully that helps. You know what? I could do who too, WHO. Let's see, maybe that helps. Woohoo, a repeat. No, I'm going to add a comma after who as well. Woohoo, a repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us, it's comma, so pause, wants us to deliver lunch now. I'm going to go ahead and add an exclamation, and I'm going to do all caps for now. This is just kind of like having done this a bunch of times now. I think this is going to help us get the right thing we want from Hume to, from the acting. All right, let's hit generate.
Woo! Whoa! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now!
Holy crap. Okay, he's very excited. Let's change the acting and see if that helps. Like I said, sometimes it'll do some weird stuff.
Woo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
Okay, that's not bad. We're getting closer. It's a little weird. The now was a little strong at the end. We might get rid of the capitals on that. The woohoo was a little awkward, but that's definitely better. Let's just we'll keep the same voice acting. Let's generate a new one.
Whoa! A repeat customer. The company that ordered.
I was gonna stop him there. Why is he doing? Try putting a comma in there. He's like just jamming a woo and who together into some weird conglomeration. I'm going to add a comma before woo, and we'll see what happens.
Woo! Who? A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
Oh crap! This is where AI sometimes is a royal pain in the ass. Like I just want you to say woohoo, buddy. That's it. Let me try the hyphenated. Maybe that'll help.
Woo-hoo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
Okay, woohoo! That's not working either. We might just have to change the dialogue to make our lives easy. It's a pain in the ass because we got to change the art and everything else. But
Woo-hoo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
He was so close. He was so close. Just say woohoo, bud. Come on, help me out.
Woohoo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
Why? Woohoo! I think he did it. Let's hear it again.
Woohoo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
Okay. The now at the end, still a little strong, but I'm going to go ahead and save that one. Let's go ahead and change the now. And I don't want to spend like hours and hours on this. And so just mention it so you can imagine if I'm this picky with the AI doing it. Imagine how picky I would be with me putting down a line, listening to it, and then changing, a note here or a note there. I'm my own worst critic, and I'm just so picky. I would be here for days making this dialogue. All right, let's try it one more time with the now lowercase instead of capitalized.
Ooh, a repeat customer. The
Getting him to say woohoo is very difficult. I'll keep hitting generate, and then I'll just pause it before he continues the whole line if he doesn't say woohoo.
Woohoo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
Close. He's just way too fired up through the whole thing.
Whoa! A repeat customer. Woo! A repeat.
Woo! A whoop. You get some weird stuff.
Woohoo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
Yes! I get excited about the silliest little things. All right. We'll go ahead. I'll play both for you just so you can see, but I'm 99% sure the second one's the one.
Woohoo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
And then the second option.
Woohoo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
Yeah, much better. The way that he ends on the now, the other one is just way too powerful. So I'm going to call this 1.1 Bello, and we're going to chuck the one I didn't use, and we're going to move on. So, I mean, you can see like sometimes it's hard to get the voice acting the way you want it. It does a really good job, but sometimes, man, you got to work and do little weird tweaks and on the text to get it to work. All right, so next one is 3 Chicken Clubs, where he's listing off the stuff. The voice acting is matter of fact, little disinterested, but polite. I'm gonna, you know what? Let me try auto generating one more time. Voice is neutral, and it says it's bored, but he's not. He's just saying the order out loud, but he should still be happy about it. The voice is neutral, and let's go slightly excited. I know that's kind of like contradicting instructions, but let's see what it does.
3 chicken cubs and the chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing.
That's not bad. It's straightforward. He's rattling off what they ordered. Let's see if we can get just a little something out of it.
3 chicken clubs and a chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing.
All right, so I'm going to take out the voice is neutral. I'm just going to go with slightly excited. Let's see what we get.
3 chicken clubs and a chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing.
All right, he's a little more uppity. He's saying it a little too fast for my liking, but he's a little more uppity, so I think we're getting somewhere. Let's just generate a few more and see what we get,
3 chicken clubs and a chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing.
Might be a little too much. I think the other one was better. It's like he's like a little too happy. Like I want him, like I picture like saying something while you're smiling compared to saying something when you're not smiling. Like I want to hear that in his voice.
3 chicken clubs and a chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing.
That's a little bit better. All right, let me download that. We'll compare the two. Again, I could sit here for another hour just getting it just right, but there's so many hours that I got to get this posted. We're at 2:30, so we've got a half hour left for streaming. So I'd like to wrap it up because I want to show you guys the video version.
3 chicken cubs and the chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing.
I like that.
3 chicken clubs and a chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing.
You know what? See, it's a subtle difference, but I like the way he enunciates a little bit in there, like the blue cheese dressing. So this is going to be 2.1 Bello. All right, so let's get Bello 3. Speaking of chicken, do you have any good chicken crossing the road jokes? Let's see what the auto acting does. The voice is lighthearted, folksy, and amused. I don't know what folksy sounds like, but let's go with it.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
Ah, it's good, but I hate the way he ends on Bubba. It just sounds weird. Let me play it one more time.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
Like he's like, Bubba? Why not just say Bubba? You're already asking the question. I don't need you to enunciate on the last word to make it sound like a question on top of it being a question. So we'll generate again.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
Why are you in? Let me take off the. I know it's a question, but let me take off the question mark at the end. Sometimes doing that, just tweaking the AI to get it right.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
Okay, let me try generating instructions, acting instructions, and we'll try again.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
All right, maybe I need to add an extra break in there. Just the way he's ending on Bubba sounds really weird. Speaking of chicken, comma, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba? I don't even know where we put an extra pause in there. Let me take out the first comma. See what happens. Sometimes just little tweaks like that make AI do it the way you want.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
Still kind of questioning at the end. Let me go ahead and save that one, and then we'll generate a few more.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
All right, that one's not too bad. He's starting to do some enunciating and some inflection, so.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
All right, that one, forget the laughing at the end. I'm going to cut that off anyway, but that sounded pretty decent.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
Yeah, except he went too fast on the first part. Damn it. This is frustrating. Okay, cut off.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
There we go. Like his voice subtly went up to the end. Let's play it again.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
Nice. Okay, we're gonna go with that one. See how that's like naturally the sentence goes up for like a question inflection. I mean, I think it could still be a little better because I'm a picky idiot. But I think we're gonna go with it. Bello 3.1. All right, we're almost there. Copy. So this is his fourth line, and then we'll do Bubba's lines. Auto generate. Voice is annoyed, irritated, incredulous. All right.
It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba.
That's good. He might be a little too like powerful, although he does have his arms crossed in the art, so it could work.
It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba.
Ooh, all right, we got something there.
It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba.
The first part sounds a little wonky.
It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba.
Let me hear the other one that I saved.
It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba.
Yeah, he's enunciating weird. Let me just try to generate a new one.
It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba.
That's a little more flat.
It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba.
I like the way he says Bubba at the end, which I think he kind of does in the first one.
It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba.
Oh, no, he doesn't. All right, let's hear that one more time.
It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba.
I like that. I like the way he says Bubba at the end. It feels more natural. And at the end of the day, that's what I'm going for. Like, I want this to sound like real conversation and real actors. That's 4.1 Bello. Let me make sure I got the right one.
It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba.
Okay, cool. All right, let's go back and we're going to do Bubba now. So we're going to grab Bubba 1. I'm going to change out my voice. My voice is Bubba. Select, paste, auto-generate the acting instructions. Generate.
All right, let's get cooking. What'd they order?
All right, not bad. I think we're going to use that one. Now, sometimes right out of the gate, you get something good. Let me try it one more time.
All right, let's get cooking. What'd they order?
Ooh, you know what? I like his inflection there. Let's see what the first one versus the second, and we'll pick one. Although, yeah, I'll do like 10 of them, and we don't need to.
All right, let's get cooking. What'd they order?
I like that. You know, I'm not even going to bother listening to the other one because I like that one because he's showing he's a little excited. Rename. This is going to be 1.2 Bubba. And then we're going to go 3. Nice and short line. Auto generate. The voice is confident, assured, and cooperative. I don't know. This may be like it may be a little too much acting.
10-4. I'll get started on the strips.
All right. That was nice, neutral tone, confident, like let's get cooking. Not too over the top. So this is going to be 2.2 Bubba. Whoops. Somehow I hit my caps lock. Let's try that again. 2.2. All right. We're almost there, guys. Getting close. We got about 15 minutes. I'm getting hungry, man. I should have eaten lunch instead of just having a snack.
I do? Okay, so why did the chewing gum cross the road?
I do is very weird.
I do? Okay, so why did the chewing gum cross the road?
Oh, that's great. I like this little pause, like the light, almost like hinting at a laugh in there. I'm gonna play it one more time, but that's pretty damn good. Once in a while, you get these, like, and you got to look for these, and you really got to play with the AI to get it to do this kind of stuff. They'll almost gonna chuckle, breath in there.
I do? Okay, so why did the chewing gum cross the road?
That's great. And where he kind of goes up and then he comes back down with the breath. That's fantastic. That's very natural. It sounds great. So we're going to go with that. That is 3.2, Bubba. And last but not least is the punchline. We do want, I'm going to play with this one for a little bit if I have to. Auto generate. Disgusted and appalled. No, this is a joke. Yeah, it gives you the voice acting based on whatever the sentence is. And the sentence is, of course, the gum was stuck to the chicken's foot. So it's giving me the voice is bewildered, grossed out, and disgusted. I need to change this. Let me try auto generate one more time. Yeah, disgusted and appalled. Yeah, we'll do our own. Sometimes it doesn't get the context of what you're trying to do just from the sentence. So, and I'm going to have another cough drop because I drank all my tea. All right. The voice is amused and telling a joke. Let's see if it gets that instruction. Generate.
The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot.
All right, we're gonna need to help it here. Gonna add an exclamation point. I'm gonna capitalize foot. Excuse me, and generate.
The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot.
That's not bad. I like the little laugh at the end too. We might use that. Let's generate a few more. I would really like to get just the right inflection because it is the punchline. I know it's a cheap dad joke, but that really helps sell it too. If Bubba is enjoying it and he's loving what he's selling you or telling you, you're more likely to like it too. The gum was stuck. Let's try adding a comma too. I'm just trying to get some weird, get it to think about pausing and then fluctuate differently. So adding a weird spot in there to add a comma, but it's a weird spot to add a comma, but it might just work.
The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot.
Yeah. Let's just try generating.
The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot.
If he would amp up, I think the timing of that works decently. If he focused his inflection on chicken's foot, like the whole thing at the end, that would work. I don't know. Sometimes if you do too many capitalized words, it freaks out and it doesn't know what the hell to do. So, but I'm going to go ahead and try it. Chicken's foot. Let's see if it does anything.
The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot.
Ooh, so close. If he would have given me a little bit more on chicken's foot and had a chuckle at the end, that could have worked.
The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot.
Telling a joke. Let's try adding very amused or very happy at the end. I don't know if it's going to work, but let's try.
The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot.
That's not bad. You know, let me save that one. I might be able to just use the ha 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 from the other one. We'll splice them together. That happens a lot too, especially with longer lines. I'll record. I'll get them to do one voice for one half of the line and then do the second if there's like multiple emotions in there. Otherwise, you never get what you want. So let's try another one just to see.
The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot.
Yeah, terrible.
The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot.
He kind of went up a little bit. Let me see what the one I downloaded was.
The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot.
That's still better. Let me hear the laugh at the end.
The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot.
You know what? We're gonna go with those two. I don't know if we even want the laugh at the end. I think we do, but I'm just gonna go ahead and go with that. Let's go, Bubba. So it's gonna be 4.2 Bubba, and then I'm gonna do 4.21 Bubba since it's kind of a second part of his line. 4.2 or 4.2.1 Bubba. Okay, we got our dialogue. Very nice. So I'm going to move those files over to where my graphics files are. Chicken gum, yep, place it in there. And you can see like how many files I have in here now because of all the images we exported and everything. So, organizing, naming your file, getting your file structure done well is really, really helpful. I know we're up against it. We have about 10 minutes. I'll go a little bit over, but I really want to show you the video portion because it's really fun. Let's go. I'm going to move I know you want to see my files, but I'm going to move them off screen. It's easier for me. I'm going to go ahead and open the graphics app. And here is our layout. And so I used like what I did for the last one. So it's going to be a little weird because you're going to see the last stuff in here, but I'm going to delete that out of there. This is the intro, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I'm going to bring in the new one. And I think I can chop a little bit of the dead space on the end there off. I'm going to go ahead and bring in the image. There it is. So this is why we made all those separate images for the video version. And then slide this over. So what you're going to hear, and I'm going to get rid of, scrolling too fast. Let me zoom out a little bit here so I can delete these. So I'm going to delete all these images. These are from the last one. And I'm going to go ahead. Let's do that. We'll do the outro real quick too, just to get it done. Let me grab it. There is the outro. Slide that over. Let me delete that. That's the audio part of it. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in the audio for the outro. Okay, I'm going to move my header over here and we're going to zoom in a little bit. So I already did the rest of the outro and you're going to see how it transitions to it. I'm going to take off some of the dead sound, like no sound off the end of that. Slide that over and then I'm actually going to zoom out. We're going to have to adjust this anyway later, depending on how long the rest of it is. So I'm going to move this over. But I'll show you. Oh, I forgot to do one thing. I got to move this thing. There we go. Here's the outro.
Share your best chicken crossing the road joke in the comments.
Please support us by liking and sharing.
And don't forget to follow.
Hi, I'm Seb the Creator. There you go. So that's our outro. I've got this little extra video talking about going live, doing live streams. I have to actually update this because finally today I'm on TikTok as well. But we'll get it figured out. You know, I wonder if I can even do that anymore. I know all the different sites are very particular about you mentioning anybody else. So I think I'm just going to take them off of there. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Let's focus on. I want to show you guys the cartoon, you know, the cartoon version, or my watch along comic, if you will. So let's get. We're gonna do. Let me get the dialogue in here, and that's what this is. These lines down here are all the different dialogues. Usually, I have Avery. So the last one I did had all three characters. It had Bello, it had Avery, and it had Bubba talking. I'm going to get rid of those, and we're going to start bringing in our new lines. So Bello, he is the top line. I'm going to slightly offset that. I'll show you why later. So that's Bello, and then Bubba is down here. His line is going to go right after Bello's. And I'm just going to go ahead and get these placed in there, and then we're going to go tweak things to get them to line up right timing-wise too. So that was 2-1. Then we're going to go 2-2 Bubba. 3-1 for Bello. 3-2 Bubba. Yeah, this one's pretty easy because we've only got two people talking to each other, and then we got Bubba. And I do have to do a little tweaking because I do have two parts for Bubba's last line. One is the line, and then there's the chuckle at the end, which I'm not 100% sure yet if we're going to keep, but you get the idea. And then just to mention it too, I work with, when I'm trying to get the audio right, I don't put the pictures in right ahead or at the beginning, because I really want to focus on audio. I want to listen. So, you know, it's almost like pretend you're watching a movie or a TV show, and you're focusing on dialogue and the sound effects and everything. If you close your eyes while, you know, instead of watching the movie, you're listening to the movie instead, or the TV show. If you do that and it makes perfect sense and it sounds very natural, then you're onto something, because then the visual and the audio will support each other. If one of those is kind of out of whack, it just doesn't feel natural. And again, you know, we're using some AI here, so we want to 100% make sure this feels natural. So let me zoom in. We'll play the intro, and then we'll get into the dialogue.
Hello, I'm Bello. This is episode 28, Chicken Gum. Woohoo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
All right, let's get cooking. What'd they order?
3 chicken clubs and a chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing.
10-4. I'll get started on the strips.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
I do? Okay, so why did the chewing gum cross the road?
It's supposed.
Okay, so we're pretty good. The timing is just a hair off on some of these. So let me go. I'm going to go back to the beginning.
Woohoo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
All right, let's.
All right, see, there's just a little too much space there. Like, he should be answering faster. So I'm going to slide this over a little bit. And let's see how that sounds.
This last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
All right, let's get cooking.
All right, that feels pretty good. It might maybe could be just a hair tighter. Let me go in there, and I'm going to zoom in so I can have a little closer control. We're going to slide that over. I'm going to cut this dead space off there, and that should be much better. And then we're going to do the same thing. So we want these to kind of naturally flow. Like when you and I are having a conversation, you know, I might say a word or say a sentence, and then you're going to follow up with the sentence. And there's got to be that right space in between the two. Sometimes you're on top of each other, talking really, really close. Other times a little more spaced apart.
Wants us to deliver lunch now.
All right, let's get cooking. What'd they order?
3 chicken clubs and a chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing.
That sounds pretty natural. So we got to slide some of these over.
Chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing.
10-4. I'll get started.
Okay, that one has maybe, I mean, like we're talking milliseconds here, but has a tiny bit more space in between, because Bubba is registering what he's saying. He's remembering what the order is. So while he's thinking, he's not going to answer exactly, right away. Let's see how these two line up.
4. I'll get started on the strips.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken?
That one could probably take even a little bit more space in between. I don't want to go too crazy, but there is a pause there. Like Bello is thinking, something to talk about in between while they're walking over to the other counter. So let's see how that. I'm going to back up a little bit just so I can get a more feel for natural progression.
Clubs and the chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing.
10-4. I'll get started on the strips.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
Okay, that's not too bad. I think it might be a little too much. Let's see how these two line up.
Do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
I do? Okay.
Let's give them just a little bit more space in between.
Good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
I do? Okay, so why did the chewing gum cross the road?
I really love the inflection on that one. It's so natural, and just the timing is great, and the breath of of him going from high to low, or like high to more of a natural tone. That's really, really good. It's so nice when it lands. It makes all the difference in the world. I'm just gonna lining up I chopped off the end of that one dialogue to get the laughing in there. That should be the laugh. So let's go back a little bit.
Strips.
Speaking of...
Oh, you know what? While we're at it too, I know I want a little bit less space in between that one. That's just too far. Let's see how that sounds.
10-4. I'll get started on the strips.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
I do? Okay, so why did the chewing gum cross the road?
It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba.
The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot.
All right, that's pretty good. I think I can probably tweak it a little bit more, but for sake of time, let's go ahead and we'll get the imagery in there because I want you guys to see how it looks. We'll get off of here in a minute, and then we're gonna go take the puppy for a walk. But then I gotta finish this up because this has to go live today. So let me zoom out a little bit more here so I can see what I'm doing. I am gonna move my outro. Oh yeah, and I need to update my outro slightly too. I might, I could just leave it off on this one, but anyway, let me go and we're gonna add the visual to it now. I want you guys to see how it all comes together. So let's go back to the beginning. And one thing to note too, and I was gonna mention this, it's very weird and I don't quite understand why it does it. Maybe it's like the difference between how fast we visually receive something to our eyeballs and how fast we get it to our ears or earballs. We get it to our earballs. If it's instantaneous, it doesn't feel right when you're watching it. Like something feels off. You're like, oh, what the hell just happened? So check this out. I'm going to do this with the very first line, and then we're going to adjust it, and you'll see.
Woohoo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last...
All right, you know what? It's not that bad for the first one. So let me go ahead and just adjust it. But I'll show you on the second one. When you're going between lines of dialogue, I'll show you how it looks. It feels weird, like you're kind of jarred, like they don't seem like they match really. And so a slight tweak makes all the difference. So here, let me go back. So watch with your eyes and listen. The jump from Bello 1 to Bubba 1.
Company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
All right, let's get cooking.
You see how like something is off, like the timing wise is just off. One of them doesn't seem to line up. So what I'm going to do, and I this is a trick I learned years ago, and I don't remember from what and how. Another artist probably taught me this, but so if you take the oh, come on, slide over. There we go. So I'm just bumping the art over like a millisecond, and now watch it. And I bet you can tell too. that it feels like it's naturally happening. Like where it was like jolt, like something felt wrong. Now it's gonna feel like it's smooth.
That ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
All right, let's get cooking. What'd they
You see, just that slight little getting the visual input first and then hearing the voice, it feels natural. I mean, if you really pay attention, you're like, okay, wait, those are not exactly on the same same timing. But for whatever reason, it's just I learned that a long time ago from somebody else I was working with. I think another artist taught me that trick. And so I'm just gonna go through here. This is pretty straightforward stuff. I'm just going to line up the dialogue, the art with the dialogue. And again, I'm going to, anytime I'm going to slide it over just a hair. So again, same thing. That goes there. This lines up with this dialogue. I'm going to kick it over just a notch. Then we're going to move this. So this is going to line up with Bubba's next line. I'm going to slide the art over. I'm going to kick it over a notch. Dink. It's going to line up there, almost there. This one, again, notch it. You got to notch it. You got to notch it or the sound ain't right. Then there's the next one. That lines up and then notch. Oh, wait, that didn't notch, did it? There we go. Now it notched. Oh, and then let's go ahead. And this is, by the way, this is my sound effects track that has kind of like the room, so it's subtle and you probably never notice it, but next time you watch watch Bello Bear and watch this comic. I'm going to post it a little bit later today, probably in an hour or so. Watch this and then listen to, like, do the thing where obviously watch it because I want you to enjoy the visual too. But try watching it a second time and close your eyes and just listen. Turn it up. You're probably going to need to turn it up a decent amount, or if you got headphones in, you'll definitely notice. But you'll hear the soundscape. So you'll hear the deli. You'll hear the room. There's little echoes, and there's the fridge might be humming. You might hear a car passing outside or people talking outside. It's subtle. It's very subtle, but it's there, and it makes all the difference to making it feel real. So anyway, that's my track for that. I put that together at a different time. And so I'm not gonna, I made it just one single track to make it easy to put in here. And then let's go ahead and zoom out. And we're gonna bring back our outro. I need to update that, like I said, but it's good enough for now. All right, so let's watch it from the top. Now what we're going to do too, obviously we want to watch it and see if it all flows good. I'm also going to watch, and please help me out, watch the dialogue. Look at the dialogue box and compare it to what you hear in your ear. Sometimes we shouldn't have this issue today because I didn't adjust any dialogue when we were making the comic. But sometimes if I have to tweak a dialogue and I don't remember to update my script, the visual, the dialogue box and what you hear won't match up. We shouldn't have that problem because I didn't update any dialogue, I don't think. So let's take a watch.
Hello, I'm Bello. This is episode 28, Chicken Gum. Woohoo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
All right, let's get cooking. What'd they order?
3 chicken clubs and a chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing.
10-4. I'll get started on the strips.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
I do? Okay, so why did the chewing gum cross the road?
It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba.
The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot.
Share your best chicken crossing the road joke in the comments.
Please support us by liking and sharing.
And don't forget to follow.
Hi, I'm Seb. All right, that looks really good. So I was watching the dialogue to make sure that's lining up, and I think everything looks good. And then next, what I want to do is I'm going to watch it through again. This time, I'm happy with that the dialogue matches with the visual matches with the audio. I'm going to watch it again. This time, I'm going to look at the characters. I want to make sure, did I miss anybody's mouth being open or closed in a certain panel or something, or is there something funky? I'm kind of focusing more on the graphics. I'm listening, but I'm focusing more on the graphics. This is basically just kind of proofreading the video, if you will, to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Hello, I'm Bello. This is episode 28, Chicken Gum. Woohoo! A repeat customer. The company that ordered breakfast last week wants us to deliver lunch now.
All right, let's get cooking. What'd they order?
3 chicken clubs and a chicken strip salad with blue cheese dressing.
10-4. I'll get started on the strips.
Speaking of chicken, do you have a good chicken crossing the road joke, Bubba?
I do? Okay, so why did the chewing gum cross the road?
It's supposed to be a chicken joke, Bubba.
The gum was stuck to the chicken's foot.
Share
All
your
right.
best chicken.
I think we're good. That looks really good. I still gotta I gotta do a few things. I gotta update my outro. That one was, I've been waiting to be able to live stream to TikTok too. That was a whole nightmare because I'm on a Mac, and if you don't have a PC, you got to jump through a few different hoops to be able to do it. TikTok Studio is not available for the Mac, so regardless, I got to figure it out. And my friend Danny, who jumped in here earlier, I joined their network, their creative network, and she helped me get me set with my stream key and everything I needed. So thank you, Danny, if you're still watching. I really appreciate it. And yeah, so I'm gonna come back. I'll do some more work on this. We're gonna go take the puppy for a walk. Here, let me get out of here. We'll get to the chatting. There we go. Look at that. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, you'll join me again, and we'll get some chat going. I love it when you guys chime in. Throw some words of encouragement, even if you don't feel like chatting much. Just say hi. I really appreciate it. And we'll keep doing it. I'm like I said before, earlier in the stream. The plan is I'm going to be streaming, hopefully, 6 days a week. So the plan is I'm going to split it. Well, I don't. You know what? Originally, I was thinking I was going to split it up. So I was going to do work on the script one day. The next day would be doing the comic part, and then the next day after that would be the video version. I'm not, we blasted through it pretty fast today, so I don't know. We'll see how that works out. But anyway, so that way you get kind of 3 different things creatively. Hopefully that, and then anybody, if you guys want to chime in, if I've got any of my artistic friends in the audience who find this interesting and hopefully can help you with creating the stuff you want to create. Kind of almost do a little question and answer thing because, I've had so many people that have helped me over the years. Like I said, I've been doing, professionally, I've been doing graphic arts and marketing for 35. I officially started 1990. So it's been 35 years. Realistically, I've been doing it longer than that. But there's been so many people that have helped me along the way and given me advice and taught me tricks and tips and all kinds of stuff. So if I can pay it forward and help my fellow artists, I would love to do that. So we'll keep working. But anyway, so schedule-wise, the plan is Monday through Friday. I'll be streaming from 12 to 3 Mountain Standard Time. And then Saturdays are kind of open. The plan is, and I've done it a couple times now where I wanted, Saturday's kind of like my half down day. I still have to post a Bello episode, and I do a little bit of other catch up work. But then usually I like to just kind of hang out and play some video games for a few hours. So the plan is we'll probably do some video, game streaming on Saturday. Hope some of you guys are interested in that too. If not, come back on Monday for the work stuff. So that's the plan for that. And then Sunday, I officially take my day off. I usually still post something. I call it my Sunday Fun Day, and I like to check in just on a more personal note, just to say hi and whatever. Like I think the last one I did was about in Bello, and it's I want to say episode 24. It was the guys are eating a bunch of junk food. And Bello comes up with a new snack that he calls the Rhesus Ruffle Witch. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty damn great. I think I've only posted on TikTok, but I'll make sure to post it on the other sites too, like wherever you would go to get Bello on your favorite social site. Just look for at Bello Bear Official. Follow me there for getting your daily comics, and then I'll also post the Sunday Fun Day thing there. But we're gonna do a part 2 to the Resos Ruffle Witch. It'll be fun. So look for that on Sunday. But anyway, that's enough chatting. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're gonna definitely build up the viewership and get more people interested. And I'm really excited because I love doing this stuff anyway. I mean, I work on this stuff anyway every single day. So if I can have you guys join me along the ride, and I can show you some cool tricks and tips for my fellow artists, and I think it's just interesting to see how something like that is made. It's like you're watching how a movie was made, kind of thing. It's interesting. It's entertaining in its own right, and I think this is too. And then we get to interact and we get to chat and talk, and which I really love that idea too. I'm already really friendly with everybody, and anybody that leaves a comment on one of the comic strips, I always make sure I say something back, and at the very least I heart your comment, because this is all about interaction. So I absolutely love it. And on that note, I think we're going to sign off for my officially, well, it's not my first stream, but it's my first official stream, being able to stream to all my friends, to everybody I want to. So that's about it for today. We're going to go take the doggy for a walk, and I'll come back and finish up the episode so I can post it and you guys get to see it later. So if you're not following me yet on your favorite social, obviously like, TikTok and the likes, and I can't post it on there because it's all live videos, but go to your other, your favorite social, and find me at at Bello Bear Official, and follow me there, and then I'll post the comic strip a little later. Oh, and just so you know, I post both the comic strip, the 4-panel, the traditional version, and then I also do my watch along video version of the watch along comic. It's a nice updated way to show what a comic can be in today's modern age, where 99 out of 100 times we're more interested in hitting the play button than reading. So it's a nice happy medium between the two, because I still like the traditional, but I also like watching it, and I like having the sound effects and the dialogue. It's really fun. So okay, enough rattling on today. We're about 15 minutes over, but that's okay. I want to try to stick to 3 hours. And again, I appreciate everybody that watched today. And let your friends know if you got anybody that's might be interested. Please tell them. And be on the lookout for the next one. Tomorrow I'll do some game streaming, but Monday we'll be back to the work stuff. Like I said, 12 to 3 Mountain Standard Time. And I'll see you there.